Okay, so 2017 MCQ. Let me check. Okay. You got your exam timetables and all, ne? Okay. Up here, we'll just start, no? We'll start as soon as possible. No point wasting time. Okay. So this is the 2017 MCQ lama. Yoga karapu answers ganda because we will correct those answers, huh? And I want to see your marks as well. Which of the following plants is a gymnosperm? What is the answer to this, Tamai? Ogala answers kya natin? Yes, it is pinus. Plants wala, we said plant classification එක මම හිතන්නේ අපි කීප සැරක්ම කරලා තියෙනවා. Plants are mainly categorized into two groups. What are they? Plants are mainly categorized into two groups. What are they? Huh? Yes. Non-flowering plants and flowering plants. Right? Not sexual, asexual. Sexual, asexual is how we classify reproduction, right? So it's asexual non-flowering plants and flowering plants. Non-flowering plants can be divided into two. Now, maybe these should be very easy, huh? Yes, non-flowering plants can be divided into two as non-flowering seedless plants and non-flowering but seed plants. Non-flowering seed plants are also called another name. What is that? Non-flowering seed plants are also called gymnosperms. Why do we call them gymnosperms? Because they have naked seeds. Then non-flowering seedless plants are one of the examples. Non-flowering seedless plants examples. Pogonatum, Marcantia, Drinaria, Salvinia. So Marcantia, Pogonatum, Drinaria, Salvinia, Selaginella, Acrosticum. Wagi keep back, Especially remember Marcantia Pogonatum because Goda Kahana Edeka. And it was Tahan Nativa Nakil can bear, but mostly Marcantia Pogonatum Mahana. When you consider non-flowering seedless plants like Marcantia Pogonatum, they don't have a flower and they don't have a seed. Okay. So we talked about the features of those plants. Some are plants nikam thallus body ekak tiyenne. Some plants have like a fern type body. Ferns wage tiyenne, right? And they do asexual reproduction by spores and maybe sexual reproduction too. Likewise, we talked about features. Non-flowering seed plants are one of the examples. Non-flowering seed plants. Others? Cycas and Pinus, right? Cycles with Togalang, cycles and the Pinus now you may have seen even in like videos. Or make Christmas corn structure in a pinus valley. Pine structure. The flowering plants will be Tavanamak, you know. What do we call flowering plants? What is the other name that we call flowering plants? Angiosperms. The flowering plants, there are two types. What are they? Monocots, monocots and dicots, right? 1 second. Ogan board ka pin natin, click on this link. Excuse me. So what about coconut, paddy, grass? What are they? What to which groups do they belong? Coconut, to which group does it belong? Paddy. Coconut is monocot. Why do we say okay, coconut is monocot? Now tell me paddy and grass. What are they? Paddy and grass. They are also monocot. So coconut, paddy, grass, all the three of them are monocot plants. Why do we call them monocot? All the three, coconut, paddy, grass, all of them have a fibrous root system. Dicot now, it should have a tap root system, but fibrous. There are fibers root system. They have a very even stem. They don't have secondary growth. They have a very even stem. Then in the seed, there is only one cotyledon. Yes. And they have trimerous flowers. Then they are unbranched, right? And the leaves have parallel venation. So they are actually flowering plants. Under flowering plants, they are monocots. But Cycas pinus, they go non-flowering. Under non-flowering, they are seed plants. So they have naked seeds, gymnosperms. What is the unit of the moment of force? Second question. What is the unit of moment of force? Okay, I'm getting different answers. Second one is the answer, neither. Harineda. They're asking the unit of force, so it's kg ms minus 2 because it's F equals ma. Hari, this is correct. Yes. මේ පේපර් එකේ ගොඩක් now usually පළවෙනි ප්‍රශ්න දෙක තුන දෙන්නේ ලේසියෙම උත්තර ගන්න ඕන කෙනට. So මේ පේපර් එකේ ගොඩක්ම වැරදිලා තිබ්බේ force force කියන වචන දැක්ක ගමන් ටක් ගාලා මේකට අන්ඩර්ලයින් කරලා තිබ්බා. Because force equals ma, mass is kilograms, and acceleration is ms minus 2. Yes. Therefore ප්‍රශ්නයක් දුන්නාම අනිත් එක exam එකට ගියාම like don't go right there. Well, චුට්ට දවස් exam එක තියෙනවානේ. By the way, නෑ කමන්නේ. So don't go right on time. ගානට on time යන්න එපා. ටිකක් කලින් යන්න. හැබැයි ගොඩක් කලින් යන්නත් එපා. ගොඩක් කලින් ගියොත් එimhe අර යාළුවෝ හැමෝත් එක්කම කතා කරලා වාගේ ඔළුවට ඉන්ෆ්ලුවන්ස් වෙනවා. So පොඩි වෙලාවක් කල් තියලා යන්න. නැත්නම් අන්තිම මොහොත ගියොත් තමයි පැනික් වෙලා තමයි පේපර් එකට වාඩි වෙන්නේ. You need to have a calm mindset. ප්‍රශ්නයක් වුණත් හරියට කියවන්න ඕනේ, කියවන ටික ඔළුවට යන්න ඕනේ, right? මේ පේපර් එකේ ගොඩක් අය වරදලා තිබ්බ තැනක් තමයි ඒක. What is the unit of force කියලා ටක් ගාලා මේක අන්ඩර්ලයින් කරා. So they're asking what is the unit of moment of force. So ඒක අල්ලගන්න තමයි මම එහෙම කිව්වේ ඔයගලන්ට. What is the equation for moment? Force multiplied by What is the equation? Force multiplied by distance from the line of action to the axis of rotation. This distance from the force to the axis of rotation. Fix kala thiyena thanena rotate වෙන තැන force එක තියෙන තැනට කොච්චර distance එකක් තියෙනවද? So force is in newtons, distance is in meters, so it's Newton meters. Make කාගේ unit එකක්ද? Sorry, this one. Nm minus 2. What do you think is that unit? To which quantity does that unit belong? Not force. Force is just newtons, no? This is actually pressure. Yes, pressure. Because pressure equals F over A. Force is in newtons, area is in square meters. Square meters එකට හම Nm minus 2 වෙනවා. ඒකට SI unit is Pascal. That's a different story. But Nm minus 2 is also a unit. But the SI unit is Pascal. So that is pressure. This is actually force, right? So F equals ma. Mass is in kg, acceleration is in ms minus 2. So this is a unit of force, but the SI unit is newtons. SI unit is newtons. Then what about this? Joules per second. Can joules divided by seconds? What do you think? To which quantity does that unit belong? Energy, that means just joules. This is power. Power means energy divided by time, right? Or work done divided by time. So energy wala unit take a joules, time wala unit take a second. So seconds that would be joules per second. However, the SI unit is watts, but joules per second is also a unit. All right, let's move on to the next question. The organ which mainly contributes to nitrogenous excretion in the human is? That's easy. That's a kidney. අපේ body එකේ excretion කරන organs තුනක් තියෙනවා, right? Our body has 3 organs which does excretion. එකක් තමයි kidney. Kidney වල excretion වෙන්නේ urine විදියට. එතන urea, uric acid, salts, water ඒ වගේම release වෙනවා. Then skin. What does skin excrete? What does the skin excrete? Sweat. Sweat also has a bit of urea, uric acid. They have NaCl, water, එහෙම. Then there's another organ that does excretion. What is that? Another organ that does excretion. Lungs. What does it excrete? Exhale air, exhale gas. It contains carbon dioxide and water vapor. So these are the 3 forms of excretion that we have learned, right? Methana kidney එකෙන් තමයි mainly urea, uric acid තමයි nitrogenous excretory product. That means there's nitrogen. Sweat වල තියෙනවා ටිකක්, right? However, kidney is the main excretory organ that involves in nitrogenous excretion, right? So kidney is the star of the show. Kidney is the main character. Okay. Okay. Nose na komat naha. All right, let's move on to the next one. Which of the following substances can be mixed with water to make a heterogeneous mixture? Which? Yes. wheat flour. Copper sulfate water තෙක හොඳට mix වෙනවා. So it's a homogeneous mixture or a solution. Ethyl alcohol water තෙක හොඳට mix වෙනවා. So that is, so if you take, one second, copper sulfate plus water, right? They mix very well. So it's a homogeneous mixture. What kind of a homogeneous mixture is it? Considering the physical states. Considering the physical states, what kind of a homogeneous mixture is it? Yeah, copper sulfate is solid, water is liquid, so it's a solid liquid homogeneous mixture. And you know homogeneous mixtures well to solutions ke la. So it is in fact a solution. If you take ethyl alcohol plus water, they also dissolve very well. So it is homogeneous. So considering the physical states, what kind of a homogeneous mixture is it? Solid, ethyl alcohol and water. Liquid. Ethyl alcohol is the alcohol solution you can find in the lab, and also alcoholic beverages also has ethyl alcohol, right? And usually now, when people consume alcoholic beverages, they sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes certain beverages, they are mixed with water because they mix very well. That creates a homogeneous mixture or a solution. Homogeneous mixture hai solution can. So this is a liquid homogeneous mixture. Then there was sugar plus water. Is that a homogeneous or a heterogeneous mixture? Sugar solid, water liquid. Is that a homogeneous or heterogeneous mixture? Yes, homogeneous. Because it dissolves very well in water, sugar. Wheat flour doesn't, so it is a heterogeneous mixture. Which of the following organelles releases energy by aerobic respiration? That's answer. That's very easy, no? Mitochondria. Nucleus controlling all the activities of the cell. And inside the nucleus, there are chromosomes. They store genetic information as well. Then ribosome wali monada karanne protein synthesis. Yes, transferring genetic characteristics, that is also done by nucleus. Ribosome does protein synthesis. Golgi complex monada karanne secretory substances package karna secrete karna. And mitochondria is the place where cellular respiration wala jati dekak tiyena ne. We learned that in cellular respiration there are two types. Monada, we said one is aerobic respiration. The other one is anaerobic respiration. Monada aerobic respiration එක equation එක ළමයි කියන්න බාන මට. Aerobic respiration equation for cellular respiration. Aerobic means with oxygen, anaerobic means without oxygen. So what is the reaction for aerobic respiration? Bukan the පටන් ගන්න කියලා කියන්නේ මට. What's the first one? Can you all hear me? What is the reaction for aerobic respiration? From the food that we eat, we get glucose. Plus, what do we get? What do we need? Because reaction එක හින්දා මම මෙහෙම ලියන්නම්. Glucose. Then from the air we breathe, we get oxygen. They react to form carbon dioxide plus water plus it releases energy. This is the aerobic respiration reaction, right? That means in the presence of oxygen. Anaerobic respiration ගත්තහම anaerobic respiration වල ಜಾති දෙකක් තියෙනවා. In plants කොහොමද වෙන්නේ and in animals කොහොමද වෙන්නේ, right? The anaerobic respiration in plants is also called another name. What is it? Anaerobic respiration in plants is also called another name. What is it? Alcohol fermentation. Then anaerobic respiration also occurs in animals. Now, what is it called? It also has another name. Lactic acid fermentation. Yes, I should, Manisha. මෙහෙම recordings කීපයක් misplace වෙලා තියෙනවා. ඔය කාලේව තමයි ටිකක් misplace වෙලා තියෙන්නේ. But I think I should have structure of matter. Send me a reminder on WhatsApp. I'll check today. Okay. So in plants වල මොකද වෙන්නේ reaction එක? What do we have? In plants, what is the alcohol fermentation reaction? Glucose plus what is the alcohol fermentation reaction? Quickly tell. Since there is no oxygen, glucose directly goes to carbon dioxide plus ethyl alcohol plus energy. එතන ethyl alcohol හැදෙන හින්දා තමයි අපි ඒකට alcohol fermentation කියලා කියන්නේ. Okay? What about in animals? What happens? Glucose goes to what? Lactic acid plus energy. So sometimes when like maybe athlete කෙනෙක් හරි කවරේ marathon එකක් වගේ දුවද්දී එයා ගොඩක් energy ඕන වෙනවා යාට, right? So එතකොට එයා හොඳට breathe කරන්න පුරුදු වෙච්ච සමන් ස්පෝර්ට්ස් කරන කටි breathing practice කරනවානේ. So breathing practice කරොත් නම් හොඳට oxygen යනවා. So aerobic respiration will happen. But sometimes if you don't properly breathe, especially while running a marathon because it needs a lot of energy, your body wants to produce energy because your body needs energy. However, there's not enough oxygen. So your body will immediately go to lactic acid fermentation, which is anaerobic respiration. And it will produce energy for the person to run the marathon because that requirement is there. But lactic acid will also be formed. So all the formed lactic acid will accumulate in the muscles and will cause a muscle sprain. Okay? So ඒක ගොඩක් questions වල අහලා තිබ්බා. athlete ගේ කතාව. Plants and alcohol fermentation උදව් වෙනවා for production of alcohol, right? Especially ගොඩක් ඔය plants වලදී alcohol production වලට මේක use කරනවා. ඒ කියන්නේ for alcoholic beverages also. Okay. Which of the okay, so we'll move on to the next one. Which of the following oxides is basic? MgO. ඒකට ඔයගලන්ට මතකයිද ටෙක්ස්ට් බුක් එකේ අපිට තිබ්බා මෙන්න මෙහෙම එකක්. Third period එකේ කට්ටියගේ oxides acidic ද basic ද කියලා. So Na2O sodium ගේ oxide එක sodium oxide, that is Na2O. Sodium ගේ valency 1, oxygen ගේ valency 2. So ඒ දෙක cross වෙලා sodium ට 2 ආව oxygen ට 1 ආවා, right? This is strongly basic. Then MgO. Magnesium ge valency 2, oxygen ge valency 2, 2 2 can 1 1. This is weakly basic. මේක මේ අපි yesterday class එකේ කතා වුණාද මේක? I kind of remember that we discussed this in yesterday's class. No, okay. Then third kena aluminium ne. So aluminium hadana oxide ke Al2O3. Aluminium ge valency 3, oxygen ge valency 2. So across sunama aluminium to 2, oxygen to 3. Al2O3, and this is lamai amphoteric. Amphoteric කියලා කියන්නේ ඇයි? Because it can act as an acid. I mean, it has acidic properties and basic properties both. So yes, it is amphoteric. ඊළඟට ඉන්නවා silicon. Silicon හදනවා silicon dioxide, which is very weakly acidic. Then we have phosphorus. Phosphorus හදනවා එක්කෙනෙක් P2O5 කියලා. මේවා නම් valence cross වෙනවා වැඩි හිතන්න එපා. Valence cross වෙනවා ගොඩක්ම අපිට helpful වෙන්නේ ionic compounds and ionic compounds හදද්දි තමයි. Covalent වලත් සමහර වෙලාවට they work but not all the time. So here අපි ඉගෙන ගත්ත valencies cross කරාම මේක එන්නේ නැහැ. So don't worry about it too much. So here this is weakly acidic. Then we have sulfur. Sulfur වල හදන SO2 SO3 දෙකම SO3 ගත්තොත් that is strongly acidic. And we have chlorine. Chlorine වල හදන එක නා Cl2O7. And that is very strongly acidic. So this is the acidic basic conditions of the third period elements. Strongly basic, weakly basic, amphoteric. Very weakly acidic, strongly acidic, very strongly acidic. So basic එක නානේ හානේ basic අය හදි එක්ක මෙයා එක්ක මෙයා. මේ දෙන තමයි basic oxides දෙක. මේ ටික තමයි අපි ඉගෙනගෙන තියෙන ඒවා. Okay? I think I didn't send you yesterday's whiteboard note, no? මම ඒකත් එවලා තියන්නම් ඔයගලන්ට අද මේකත් එක්ක. So මෙයා amphoteric. Al2O3 is amphoteric. This is acidic. This is also acidic. Okay? The animal tissue given in the diagram is, what is this animal tissue? ඕගලන් ඔය ආන්සර් එක කියලා හරියටම හිතාගත්තේ කොහමද? මේ diagram එක දැක්ක ගමන් මොකද්ද what was very significant to you that you thought it's the answer that you gave? Yeah, diagram එකේ මොකද්ද main feature එක? Yes. Yes. Cells ගත්තොත් එහෙම හැම tissue එකකම cells තියෙනවානේ. Mainly we can see here that there is this like a stage here. We called it a basement membrane, right? We call this a basement membrane. We have only learned one type of tissues with a basement membrane, and that is epithelial tissue. Epithelial tissues will function like lining up. Yes, cells are tightly packed. That is also true. Epithelial tissues will function like lining up free surfaces, both internal and external, right? So inside our body, uterus, bladder, blood vessels, urinary, ureters, even urethra, or like even outside the body, the skin, they are all epithelial tissues. Epithelial tissues are main functions. Yes, they are tightly packed. They are present on a basement membrane. What about the nervous supply and blood supply? Does the epithelial tissue have a nervous supply? Does the epithelial tissue have a nervous supply? Yes. Skin you can feel it. Does the epithelial tissue have a blood supply? No. Skin එකේ උඩම layer එක සුට්ටක් කරන්න එපා, but point එකකින් like cut එකකින් වගේ skin එකේ උඩම layer එක poke කරොත් එම blood එන්නේ නැහැ. So it doesn't have a blood supply because the upper layer is the epithelial tissue. Okay. Which of the following energy transformations takes place in a bicycle dynamo? What happens in a bicycle dynamo? Mm-hmm. Yes, others? What happens in a bicycle dynamo? So when the bicycle is, the wheels are rotating, right? Wheels are rotating can mukadda venne? It is mechanical energy, right? So wheels are rotating. Wheels rotate වෙනකොට ඔයාලා මතක ඇති bicycle dynamo එකේ කොහොමද වෙන්නේ කියලා. So let's get a bicycle dynamo picture. This one. In electromagnetic induction, we learnt about 3 applications. Our 3 applications were එකක් තමයි AC dynamo, alternating current dynamo. අනිත් එක තමයි moving coil microphone. And the third one was the bicycle dynamo. එතකොට ඒ තුනම හොඳට බලා ගන්න ඕනේ. If you look at the bicycle dynamo, bicycle එකේ wheel එකට තමයි මේ rough head එක connect කරලා තියෙන්නේ. These are things that we did recently, so I'm not going to take too much time. While the wheel is rotating, this rough head will also rotate. Okay, the rough head will also rotate. Rough head එක rotate වෙනකොට rough head එකට attach වෙලා තියෙනවා මේ circular magnet එක. The circular magnet here. So the circular magnet will also rotate. Okay, and the coil is stationary. Wheel is rotating, rough head rotates, rough head එකට connect කරලා තියෙනවා circular magnet එක, that will rotate. එතකොට coil එක stationary but the magnet is rotating. එක්ක coil එක stationary, magnet move වෙනවා, නැත්නම් magnet stationary, coil එක move වෙනවා නම් that will induce an electromotive force or a current. Because of that only here an EMF will be generated, induced. Let me send you the link, Michele. Click on that link and see. And let me know. So it will generate an electromotive force, and also because of that, it will generate a current. So bicycle එක rotate වෙනවා කියන්නේ that is kinetic energy. Kinetic energy කියන්නේ it's a form of mechanical energy. You know, mechanical energy වල තුනක් තියෙනවානේ. Sorry, දෙකක් තියෙනවානේ. Mechanical energy has kinetic energy and potential energy. So wheel is rotating means it's kinetic energy, and that belongs to mechanical energy. Because of that, a current will be generated, and that is electrical energy. So here what happens is mechanical energy is converted to electric energy. පස්සේ අපි electric energy use කරලා මේ bike එකේ light එක එහෙම පත්තු කරනවා. ඒක වෙනම කතාවක්. So මේක I did it in a different class, and එක ළමෙක් දාලා තිබ්බා electric energy to light energy කියලා. That is what happens after bicycle dynamo generates electric energy. Bicycle dynamo එකෙන් electric energy generate වුණාට පස්සේ අපිට කෝඩ් එකට use කරන්න පුළුවන්. අපිට bike එකේ bulbs ටික පත්තු කරන්න use කරන්න පුළුවන්. Then that conversion is light energy. However, මෙතන කතා කරන්නේ bicycle dynamo එකේ generate වෙච්ච electricity මොනවාටද use කරන්න කියලා නෙවෙයි. What happens in the bicycle dynamo? It's mechanical to electrical. The biochemical reactions that take place in organisms are catalyzed by That's pretty easy, right? Enzymes. You know, enzymes are biological catalysts. ඒ කියන්නේ catalyst කියන්නේ මොකද්ද කියලා අපි දන්නවනේ rate of reaction වල catalysts are substances that increase the speed of or increase the rate of reactions, but they are not chemically consumed by the reaction. ඒ catalyst වලම අපේ body එක ඇතුලේ ඉඳන් body එකේ reactions catalyze කරන කට්ටියට අපි enzymes කියලා කියන්නේ. Are enzymes carbohydrates or proteins or lipids or nucleic acids? Enzymes are all proteins. What about hormones? What about hormones? What are hormones made up of? Hormones? No, not nucleic acids. Hormones are made up of what? Okay, others? I got one correct answer. What are hormones made up of? Quickly tell. Some hormones are made up of proteins. And some hormones are made up of lipids. Remember? Some are protons, some are hormones other than proteins again. Some other hormones are made up of lipids. Okay, next one. Which of the following instances does a couple of forces act? What is the answer? When a door is opened by pushing, there is a moment. Door එකක් open කරන rotation එකක් තියෙනවානේ. හැබැයි දෙපැත්තට rotations දෙකක් නැති හින්දා that is not couple of forces. Then when the rope is pulled in opposite directions by two groups in a competition of pulling ropes, that is obviously not a couple of forces. එතන moment එකකුත් නැහැ. මොකද rotation එකක් නෙවෙයි, it's a linear motion. දෙපැත්තට අදින එකක්. When two persons are pushing a box in the same direction which is kept on a floor. Again, එතන moment එකක් නැහැ. මොකද දෙන්නම එකම පැත්තට එක push කරන්නේ. It's linear motion. So answer is the second one. When a nail is unscrewed by a screwdriver, let's say nail එක මෙහෙම එළියෙන් බැලුවා මේ විදිහට තියෙන්නේ කියලා. නැත්නම් අපි අර මල් නියන use කරන nail එක ගමු මෙන්න මෙහෙම තියෙන එක. So nail like screwdriver එක දාලා the nail will be rotating. Rotate කරාම දෙපැත්තම rotate වෙනවා. මුළු nail එකම මෙහෙම rotate වෙනවා. So that is a couple of forces. Just like a steering wheel. Okay? This is lesson moment. මොනවද ඒකේ නම lesson එකේ turning effect of a force. This is turning effect of a force. Give me a second. Okay, ළමයි. So this lesson is turning effect of a force. A ninth question. Ninth question belongs to first lesson, grade 10 first lesson. This is මොකද first lesson එකේ නම chemical basis of life. ඒ lesson එක revise කළා ආයෙමත් question එක එතකොට re-attempt කරන්න. Okay. The number of, okay, let's move on to the next one, Amai. The number of electrons and the number of protons in Al3 plus ion are respectively. What did you get? Mm-hmm. Others? Okay. Al3 plus. Aluminium wala atomic number ka 13 කියලා දීලා තියෙනවා. Aluminium. Right. Atomic number එක 13 කියලා කියන්නේ how many protons does it have? Atomic number is 13. Atomic number අපි Z නේ symbol එක. Therefore, how many protons does the aluminium have? Others? Quickly tell. If the atomic number of aluminium is 13, how many protons does aluminium have? Yes, 13. Then how many electrons does it have? I'm talking about this aluminium atom. Huh? How many electrons does it have? Yes, 13. So here, this is normal aluminium. But the aluminium that we have is aluminium 3 plus. 3 plus කියන්නේ ආ මොකද්ද කරගෙන තියෙන්නේ? That means it has removed 3 electrons, no? Negative 3ක් අයින් වුණාම තමයි යාට 3 plus කියලා එන්නේ. Okay? So it has removed 3 electrons. 3 electrons remove කරලා කියලා කියන්නේ now the number of electrons become 10. Bana protons have a positive charge. So here there are protons වෙනස් වෙන්නේ නැහැ ළමයි, because protons are inside the nucleus. Protons are positively charged. So 13 protons තියෙනවා කියන්නේ එකක් plus ඉඳ it's plus 13. Electrons are negatively charged, so it's minus 10. So bana plus 13 and minus 10, you get the overall charge as plus 3. That is what this charge means. So there are 10 electrons and 13 protons. Okay, 10 electrons and 13 protons. Okay, let's move on to the next one. I also have another question. Here, if I say that the mass number of aluminium is 27. What is the number of neutrons of aluminium here? Neutrons of aluminium. Neutrons. හරියට බලන්න. Mass number කියන්නේ protons plus neutrons. If mass number is 27, protons 13, මෙතනත් 13, මෙතනත් 13. Number of protons doesn't change. And ඉතුරු ටිකනේ neutrons, and neutrons should be 14. There are 14 neutrons. Okay. What is the standard notation of tritium? What is the answer? Yes, the third one. When we talk about isotopes, අපි hydrogen වල isotopes තුනක් කතා කරා. We talked about hydrogen. Atomic number of hydrogen is anyways 1. So in isotopes, the atomic number is the same. So it's 1, 1, 1. Mass number was different. Here the mass number was 1, here the mass number was 2, and here the mass number was 3. How that happened was, now මෙයාගේ atomic number වල symbol එක Z, right? So මෙයාගේ atomic number එකත් 1, මෙයාගේ atomic number එකත් 1, මෙයාගේ atomic number එකත් 1. Atomic number 1 කියන්නේ protons with 1, because atomic number equals the number of protons. Here also 1. So protons and electrons are equal. So here මෙයාගේ protons 1 නම් electrons with 1, මෙයාගෙත් 1, මෙයාගෙත් 1. මෙයාගේ neutrons කොච්චරක් තියෙනවද? In protium, in the first one. This is protium now. How many neutrons does it have? ළමයි mass number එක is protons plus neutrons. Here the mass number is 1, protons is 1. එහෙනම් neutrons has to be 0, right? එතකොට 1 plus 0 තමයි mass number එක 1 කියලා එන්නේ. Here the mass number is 1 no? Mass number වල symbol එක capital A, so mass number is 1. Here the mass number is 2. මෙතන mass number එක 2. That is deuterium. So how many neutrons does it have? How many neutrons does it have? 1. This is tritium. එයාගේ mass number එක you can see it's 3. So then how many neutrons does it have? 2. So 2 plus 1 තමයි 3 එන්නේ. So these are the isotopes of hydrogen. ඊට පස්සේ අපි carbon වල isotopes තියෙනවා කියලා කිව්වා. Carbon 612, carbon 613, carbon 614. We said chlorine වල තියෙනවා කිව්වා. Chlorine 1735, chlorine 1737. And we said naturally chlorine 1735 වලින් 75% තියෙනවා. Chlorine 1737 වලින් that is 25%. Expressing percentages like this, we called it percentage abundance, right? Percentage abundance of these isotopes, right? The percentage abundance of chlorine 1735 is 75%. Percentage abundance of chlorine 1737 is 25%, okay? Okay, let's move on to the next one. Which of the following adaptations is shown by the seeds of horror plant for the dispersal of wind? For the dispersal of wind. Okay. ළමයි possessing wing-like structures. හොර තියෙන්නේ මෙහෙමනේ නේ? Something like this. දැකලා ඇති ඔයගොල්ලෝ. හොර වගේ plant එක wing-like structures තමයි තියෙන්නේ. Wing-like structures or නිකන් අර hairs වගේ structures වගේ තියෙනවා නම් ඒක ගොඩක් disperse වෙන්නේ wind එකෙන්. Air-filled shells තියෙනවා නම් ඒවා disperse වෙන්නේ water වලින්. Right? Different patterns තියෙනවා disperse වෙන්නේ animals වගේ. Anyways, horror is like a specific plant, specific type. So here they have wing-like structures, so they are dispersed by wind. Wind එකේ ලස්සනට කැරකියා යනවා. Right? Okay, let's move on to the rest of it. But up to this point, is everything clear? We did quite a discussion. Up to this point, is everything clear? Okay. Lamai, let's move on to the rest. Give me 2 minutes. I'll be back. Okay. So let's move on to the rest of the questions. Okay. One second. Okay. A certain covalent compound is completely ionized in water. Which of the following could be this compound? What is the answer for this? August? මෙතන අපි දන්නේ මෙයා ammonium hydroxide, we know it is a weak base. Ammonium hydroxide is a weak base. It partially ionizes. Weak base hari weak acid hari හැමලෙම partially තමයි ionized වෙන්නේ. So ammonium hydroxide is partially ionized. දෙනම් එයාව කොහොමත් ගන්න බෑ. H2CO3 is a weak acid. Weak acid means අනිවාර්යෙන් එයාත් partially තමයි ionized වෙන්නේ. එනම් එයාව ගන්නත් බෑ. Copper sulfate, we are not sure. We'll just keep it. We come to HCl. Now, HCl is a strong acid. Strong acid කියපු ගම we are 100% sure that strong acids, they completely ionize in water. Therefore, we can straight away get this answer. So, copper sulfate දන්න ගත්තේ නැති වුණාට කමක් නැහැ. Okay. Ammonium hydroxide and H2CO3, you know. In addition to that, ඒ දෙකත් නැතත් ඔයා දන්නවා HCl කියන්නේ strong acid එකක්. It completely ionizes in water. Okay, next one. The endocrine glands that secrete glucagon and calcitonin in human body are respectively. What are the answers for this? The glucagon is, yes, secreted by pancreas. නිකන් මෙම leaf එකක් වගේනේ pancreas එක තියෙන්නේ. Pancreas එකේ කොතනින්ද glucagon secrete වෙන්නේ in the pancreas? Which part secretes glucagon? Which part secretes glucagon in pancreas? Pancreas එකේ කොතනින්ද glucagon secrete වෙන්නේ? Quickly tell. No, it's not stomach. Pancreas එකේ කොතනින්ද glucagon secrete වෙන්නේ? Pancreas එකේ. In the pancreas, now you guys have not studied biological processes enough. Biological processes is a lesson we took a lot of time doing. Please study, huh? මොකද දැන් පාඩම් කරන්න නැත්නම් ආයෙ පාඩම් කරන කාලයක් නැහැ. Pancreas එකේ තියෙනවා, there are a group of cells, we call them islets of Langerhans. In islets of Langerhans, there are alpha cells and there are beta cells. Alpha cells only secrete glucagon. Glucagon is a hormone. Beta cells තමයි insulin secrete කරන්නේ. What is the function of insulin? What is the function of insulin? What is the function of insulin? Maintaining the sugar level, yes, but how? Be specific in the answer. Glucose into glycogen? Yes, but it's not the perfect answer. What is the function of insulin? Maintain the sugar level kuhama, that is correct, but that is not specific enough. Glucose to glycogen kuhama, that is also correct, but that is still not specific enough. Insulin කරන්න ළමයි glucose glycogen කරන ළමයි you have no idea marking schemes වල ගොඩක් වෙලාවට ඒගොල්ලන් words බලනවා හරියට. Insulin වල function එක කිව්වම excess කියන word එක නැත්තම් ගොඩක් වෙලාවට ඒගොල්ලෝ ලකුණු දෙන්නේ නැහැ. Marking schemes වල එහෙමයි, right? So what insulin does is it converts excess glucose to glycogen, excess glucose. Normal body එකේ තියෙන glucose අවුලක් නැහැ, but if the glucose level is too high, excess glucose will be converted to glycogen. Excess glucose. When the blood glucose level is higher than the normal level, excess glucose will be converted to glycogen by insulin. What is the function of glucagon? What is the function of glucagon? When yes, converting glycogen into glucose. When the blood glucose level is low, lower than the normal level, glucose then the glycogen will be stored back, will be converted back to glucose by glucagon. Answers are answer kare. I feel like you don't have much confidence in this part. Confidence nahi, what should you do? If you don't have much confidence in this part, what should you do? Revise. If you cannot remember at all, study. But I feel like since we did it recently, you might remember, but you might not remember certain parts. So then you have to take some time and revise. Biological processes walling MCQ විතරක් නෙවෙයි essay වලනුත් ලොකු ප්‍රශ්නයක් අහනවා. ලොකු ප්‍රශ්නකින් කියන්නේ කොටසක් හරි ප්‍රශ්නයක් හරි අහනවා. So therefore you must go through biological process. It's a very lengthy lesson. Biological processes වල මම කලිනුත් කියන්නේ the trick, there are two tricks to study. එකක් තමයි story එකක් විදිහට මතක තියාගන්න. Yes. Story එකක් විදිහට මතක තියාගන්න. And එතකොට flow එකක් තියෙනවානේ. දැන් අපි කන කැම ටික mouth එකට එනවා. Mouth එකේ teeth and the tongue and all of that will do mechanical digestion. Then the tongue will identify the taste, mix the food with saliva, and help for swallowing. It was a joy. Mechanical digestion. So the food will be broken into small parts. Then saliva will be added. Saliva has amylase, so that will convert some of the starch to maltose. Then that will go through the esophagus, peristaltic motions with the. Then it comes to stomach. In stomach also there's peristaltic motions, peristaltic movements. In the stomach, HCl advenama, HCl karanne pepsin activate karaneka, then pepsin karanne proteins converted to polypeptides. Then infants lage renin තියෙනවා. ඒගොල්ලන් කරන්නේ coagulation of milk. ඊට පස්සේ මෙහෙම යනවා duodenum එකට. Duodenum එකේ කොලයක් වගේ එකක් තියෙනවා, that is a pancreas. ඒකත් එක්ක gall bladder තියෙනවා. Gall bladder connects to liver. Gallbladder gives bile. Bile helps for emulsification of lipids. Then pancreas secretes the enzymes trypsin, amylase, and lipase. Trypsin does proteins to polypeptides. Amylase again starch to maltose. Lipase, lipids to fatty acids and glycerol. So, මෙහෙම දිගට යනවා small intestine එකේ. ඒතර intestine එකේ wall එකේ නු තව enzymes ටිකක් secrete වෙනවා. Maltase, sucrase, lactase, peptidase. Maltase කරන්නේ maltose glucose වලට convert කරනවා. Sucrase, sucrose to fructose and glucose. Lactase, lactose to glucose and galactose. Peptidase, polypeptides to amino acids. ඊට පස්සේ ඒගොල්ලන් මෙහෙම යනවා. ඊට පස්සේ අනාතරෙත් digestion ඉවරනාට පස්සේ absorption පටන් ගන්නවා. So there are circular folds, there are villi, then there are microvilli, right? but the small intestine is very long, there are adaptations. එතකොට අර digested end products ඔක්කොම absorb කරගන්නවා. Carbohydrates digest වුණාම monosaccharides ඉතුරු වෙනවා, they will be absorbed. Proteins digest වුණාම amino acids, they will also be absorbed. Lipids digest වුණාම fatty acids and glycerol ඒගොල්ලන්ව absorb වෙන්නේ blood වලට නෙවෙයි lacteal එකට. Okay? Then all of those will move to large intestine. එතන තියෙනවා appendix එක. Right? The large intestine එකේදී ගොඩාක් water absorb වෙනවා. Then rectum එකට එනකොට it's in feces. Feces කියලා අපි කියන්නේ එතකොට. එතකොට undigested ටික තමයි යන්නේ and it will be in a semi-solid state. And then it will be released through the anus. ඒ වගේ respiration, excretion හැම එකක්ම story. Like there has to be a flow. පටන් ගන්න තැන ඉඳන් flow එකක් විදියට පාඩම් කරා. පාඩම් කරලා second trick is try to explain it to someone. Try to teach to someone. කාට හරි teach කරනවා වගේ හැසිරෙන්න. I mean, it doesn't have to be a real person. You can just imagine. Biological processes පාඩම් කරන්න නම් previous students අරත් වැඩ කරලා තියෙන හොඳ method එක තමයි යෝග. එකක් හැම වෙලෙම flow එකක් තියෙන්න ඕනේ. randomly පාඩම් කරන්න එපා. එක system එකක නම් මුල ඉඳන් අගට there has to be a flow like a story. හරියට හිතන්න නිකන් ඔයා යනවා වගේ. ඔයා mouth එකට යනවා, ඔයා esophagus එකට යනවා. It's like a journey, right? Then explain it to someone, like teach someone, even if it's an imaginary person. ඒ විදිහට තමයි මේක පාඩම් කරන් තියෙන එකම කියන්නත් බෑ. Some of you may have different methods, but a method that works really well. පරණ ළමයිට නම් ගොඩක් වැඩ කරලා තියෙනවා. ඕගොල්ලන්ගේ සමහර අයට ඒක වැඩ කරලා තියෙනවා. Okay. So that is glucagon. Calcitonin is secreted by thyroid. What does calcitonin do? What does calcitonin do? Give me 1 second. What is the function of calcitonin? Yes, it controls the calcium level. It reduces the calcium level in blood. Ethacota, yes, reduce the calcium level in blood. Ethacota, and I make answer the pancreas and thyroid gland. Pancreas secretes glucagon, thyroid gland secretes calcitonin. Can I also ask, what is secreted by pituitary? Pituitary when is secrete karna hormones bana, hormones. The hormones secreted by the pituitary gland. Growth hormone, FSH, good. LH. They are secreted. So they are mainly secreted by pituitary gland, right? Growth hormone, api ganagata gland section. Okay, then FSH, LH we learned in the reproduction lesson. What is secreted by adrenal glands? What is secreted by adrenal glands? Adrenaline. Where are adrenal glands located? Where are adrenal glands located? Yeah, on top of the two kidneys. Ne? Kidneys are good and triangular wage thiyena. Adrenaline wali mokada karne, it prepares our body for an emergency, an excited state. Okay, so we'll move on to the next one. Select the option in the table which gives the most suitable extraction method for each of the elements potassium, calcium, and lead. Then lamai mata kiyanna balanna activity series එක. කියාගෙන යන්න. You can unmute or you can even put in the chat box. Starting from potassium, sodium, calcium, magnesium, aluminium, zinc. Good ළමයි. ගොඩක් අය උත්තර දෙනවා. අනිත් අයත් උත්තර දෙන්න. Iron, tin. Okay, good. සමහර අය දීලත් ඉවරයි. Activity series එක. Lead, good. Then hydrogen, copper, mercury, yes, silver, platinum, and gold. So මම ළඟදී ළමයෙකුට ඕන වෙලා I asked ChatGPT to make like a මේක නිකන් poem එකක් වගේ එකක් that sounded quite stupid. මට දැන් මතක නැහැ ඒක මොකක්ද කියලා කාට හරි memorize කරන්න බැරි එකක් තියෙනවා නම් you can just check and find some poem අරකට බලන්නම් තියනවාද කියලා මං හිතන්නේ ඒක මතක තියාගන්න ඊට වඩා ලොකු effort එකක් දෙන්න වෙනවා. So I feel like just make a breaking down කියන්නේ the entire activity series, if we break down into several parts, I think it's memorizable. Memorizable. Is that a word? Anyways, you can memorize. Potassium, sodium, calcium, magnesium, aluminium, palavini paha. Then zinc, iron, tin, lead. Then hydrogen, then copper, mercury, silver, platinum, gold. Here, මේ set එක සාමාන්‍ය reactivity වැඩිම set එක. Right? We use electrolysis to extract them. When the reactivity or when the activity is too high, we have to use electrolysis to extract them. If I want to extract pure sodium, which solution should I electrolyze? If I want to extract pure sodium, which solution do I electrolyze? මොන වගේ solution එකක් electrolyze කරොත්ද මට pure sodium ගන්න පුළුවන්? Not hematite. Hematite තියෙන extraction of iron වල. මොන වගේ solution එකක් මොන වගේ liquid එකක් electrolyze කරොත්ද මට pure sodium metal එක ගන්න පුළුවන්? Salt solution, okay, you're getting there. What exactly is it? Salts කිව්වම there are different types of salts. Okay. It's sodium chloride. But sodium chloride කොහොමද ඉන්න ඕනේ? මේක දැන් ටක් ගාලා උත්තර කියන්න ඕනේ. It's fused sodium chloride. ඒ කියන්නේ වතුර නැතුව sodium chloride melt කරපු solution එකක් අරගෙන තමයි ඒවා electrolyze කරන්න ඕනේ. Okay. මතකයිද මේක? මට හිතෙනවා මේකෙන් question එකක් අහන්න මම දැන් බැලුවේ අහන්නවද කියලා. අපි ගොඩක් track පාිනවා එතකොට. Okay. Fused sodium chloride carbon electrodes එක අපි electrolyze කරනවා. We use carbon electrodes and we electrolyze fused sodium chloride. I want to know oxidation reaction. I want to know the reduction reaction. I want you to identify the anode. Damma patan ගන්න. Anode and the cathode. කරන්න දෙයක් නෑ මේක අහනවා exam එකේ. Question के लिए unknown है हमारी. Just write the answer. We can't waste time. Quickly write this. I won't give you too much time. আমাদের না নিকা 4 minutes. Okay, done? Okay. So we are going to take carbon electrodes. There is a positive side, there is a negative side. So this is the positive electrode, this is a negative electrode. This is fused sodium chloride. Therefore, fused sodium chloride means it's just a liquid AQ. Can water na AQ na. එතකොට අපේ ions තියෙන්නේ Na plus and Cl minus විතරයි. H plus and OH minus නැහැ. You know එතකොට Cl minus goes to the positive electrode because negative positive attract වෙනවා. Na plus will go to the negative electrode. So it's quite simple. Oxidation, which happens at the anode, and you know anode is a positive electrode. Cl minus ඇවිල්ලා electron එකක් remove කරලා Cl හදාගන්න. එක Cl එකක් තනියෙන් ඉන්නේ. So actually 2 Cl minus comes, releases 2 electrons each and forms Cl2 gas. This is a gas. Then reduction reaction happens at the cathode where Na plus ions go to the cathode. This is a cathode. So cathode means obtaining electrons, gaining electrons. So Na plus will gain 1 electron and form Na. Pure sodium in a liquid form. It passes up to extract solidify or whatever we can do. So these are the oxidation and reduction reactions. Anode is a positive electrode, cathode is a negative electrode. So anode cathode identify කරන්න පුළුවන් වෙන්න ඕනේ. Positive negative electrodes identify කරන්න පුළුවන් වෙන්න ඕනේ. Observations. What are the observations that you can get here? What are the observations you can get here? Gas bubbles evolve from the anode because chlorine gas එක හැදෙනවා. So chlorine gas එක හැදෙන හින්දා and chlorine gas is produced at the anode. So whenever gas is produced, the bubbles will form. Okay? And that is actually the only observation you can get. Evolve at the anode. Because then sodium liquid එක හැදුණා කියලා ඒක අපිට පේන්නේ නැහැනේ. ඒක පේන්නේ නැහැ. So අපිට පේන්නේ gas bubbles evolve at the anode කියලා විතරයි. Industrial application of this cell. What is the industrial application of this? What is the industrial application of this? Quickly tell somebody. Down cell. Make a modify karla. We make the down cell where we can industrially produce sodium, pure sodium. Likewise, other class එක ඉවර වෙලා practice කරන්න මෙන්න මේ ටික. Practice in electrochemistry lesson. Practice කරන්න ඕනේ electrochemical cell with zinc and Fe electrodes. तर story එක වගේ පාඩම් කරා. Practice කරන්න. Electrochemical cell with let's say Fe and copper electrodes. ඒ වගේ දෙකක් විතර electrochemical cells වලින් practice කරා. Electrolysis වල practice කරන්න ඕනේ electrolysis of fused sodium chloride, which is what we just talked about. Electrolysis of aqueous NaCl. Electrolysis of acidulated water. Electrolysis of aqueous copper sulfate. And there was one more that you need to practice, electroplating. Electroplating cell let's say plating an iron spoon with copper. Practice. So other you have a homework. You have a homework to practice in electrochemistry lesson. Is it clear, Lamai? Give me a thumbs up, please. Mara sure na ogalan practice karayida kiyala. I have a bit of like trust issues. Mokada karanne api ekata? Mara hitana ogalan practice karanne nathuwa kammali kama indi kiyala. What should we do for that? මේ ටික practice කරලා එවන්න පුළුවන්ද මට? Today. By the end of today කියන්නේ අද midnight වලට කලින්. මේ ටික practice කරලා ඔයගලන්ගේ ඒ කොලේ දැක්කම මට තේරෙන්න ඕන ඔයගලන් මේක genuinely කරලා මේක practice කරලා තියෙන්නේ කියලා. Can all of you do that? Please give me a thumbs up. Everybody, everybody. හැබැයි මේක එව්වේ නැත්තම් ඊළඟ සතියේ class එන්න එපා. Okay? If you don't send it today, don't come to the class next week. Okay? Because these are like much overdue. මට answers හරියට ආවේ නැහැ ඔයගොල්ලන්ගෙන්. කාගෙන්වත් හරියට ආවේ නැහැ. So, කෙනෙක්ගේ දෙන්නගෙන් අරගෙන. So I'm assuming you have not practiced this properly. Okay? When we only have like දැන් දවස් 45ක් දක්වත නේද? ඊයේද පෙරේදද ළමෙක් කිව්වම 46ක් කියලා. අනේ ඔයගොල්ලන් class එකෙන් මම කිව්වේ 46 කියලා. That was yesterday. Anyways, so we were talking about this. In activity series, the most active, the most reactive metals are extracted using electrolysis. Then moderately reactive metals are extracted using a method called reduction. Do you remember, Lamai? We extracted iron from hematite and blast furnace. That is a reduction method. Fe2O3 wali, that is hematite wali, api Fe extract kara using a blast furnace. That is a reduction method. Then hydrogen is just for reference. Me antima hariyeva. Me product reduction walin tama extract karane, but antima hariyeva api, they are very low reactive. We extract them using physical methods. Electrolysis, reduction, and physical methods. So if you look at this, potassium and calcium, they are both in the highly reactive region. So they are both extracted by electrolysis. Lead in moderately reactive hari, enang eyawa extract karane reduction wali. So fourth one should be the answer. Fourth one should be the answer. Is it clear, Lamai? Okay. On a horizontal ground, the point B is located to the east of A. Horizontal ground, the point B is located to the east of A. A මෙහෙම තියනවා නම් A ගේ east එකට we have point B. And point C is located to the north of point B. B ගේ north එකට point C තියනවා. An ant has moved from A to C through the straight lines A, B and BC. එහෙනම් A, B ට ගිහිල්ලා B, C ට ගිහිල්ලා මේ ant A, C ට ගිහිල්ලා C කියන point එකට ගිහිල්ලා. A, B is 3 meters. B, C is 4 meters. අපෙන් අහන්නේ displacement. What is the displacement here? This is a right angle triangle, no? Displacement කියන්නේ shortest distance, ne? Shortest distance between 2 points කියන්නේ මෙන්න මේක. What is this displacement here? Yes. This is a Pythagorean triple, ne? මේක නම් ආයිමත් Pythagoras theorem දාන්න ඕනෙත් නැහැ. උගන්න හොඳට experience ඇති මේ වගේ. 3 squared 4 squared එහා පැත්තට එන්නේ එතකොට 5 නේ. So it's 5. නැත්නම් උගන්න Pythagoras theorem දාලා හොයන්න පුළුවන් because it's a right angle triangle. But since you are quite familiar with Pythagorean triples, it's pretty clear that it's 5 meters. Okay, next one. A situation where an image of a flower pot taken onto a white vertical plane using an item called X is shown in the figure. Which of the following could be X? Others? Okay, I got 2 answers. What about others? Okay. Plane mirror කියන එක කොහොමත්ම වෙන්න බෑ. A plane mirror is always what it always does is reflection. එනම් plane mirror කියන answer එක අපිට මුලින්ම අයින් කරගන්න පුළුවන්. Right? Then when we talk about mirrors, මේක නම් අපි චුට්ටක් කතා කරත් වගේ මට මතකයි. අර අපි එක්ස්ට්‍රා ක්ලාස් එකක් ගත්තේ මන්ඩේද කොයිද? එදා අපි කතා කරා වගේ මට මතකයි. Mirrors wala, yes. We have concave mirrors and we have convex mirrors. Concave mirrors කියන්නේ so like මෙහෙම තියෙනවා නම් නැත්නම් මෙහෙම yeah මෙහෙම අතු පැත්තට curve වෙච්ච mirror එක තමයි concave mirror කියලා කියන්නේ. Convex mirror means එළිය පැත්තට curve වෙලා තියෙන එක like this. So this is the front of the mirror. In concave mirrors, we learned about how many ray diagrams? Object is between the mirror and the focal point. Object is on the focal point. ඒකට නම් අපි ray diagram එකක්. So එකක් අපි ඉගෙන ගත්තා object is between the mirror and the focal point. Then the object is on the focal point. Then object is between the focal point and center of curvature. Then the object is on the center of curvature and the object is beyond the center of curvature. So we learned about 5 ray diagrams. එක මම ආයෙ කතා කරන්නේ නැහැ because it's no point. මම ඔයගලන්ට ඊයේ හරි කවදා හරි කිව්වා light පොඩ්ඩක් බලා ගන්න. I feel like light වලින් ප්‍රශ්න අහයි. Light ray diagrams ටික බලා ගන්න. So object is between mirror and focal point. Object is on the focal point. Then object is between focal point and center of curvature, which is C. Then object is on the center of curvature. Then object is beyond the center of curvature. Beyond C. Here, මෙතනදි හැදුනේ ඔයාලට මතකත් ඇති සමහර විට this was a virtual image. මෙතන image එක හැදුනේ infinity එක and it was a real image. After that everything was a real image. Real. Is that correct? I will keep my camera switched off for some time. I think පිටිපස්සෙන් ඉරේලියේදී reflect වෙනවනේ screen එකට. I will keep the camera switched off for some time. Do you remember this? Is this true? Is this correct? It might be wrong. So හරියට මට කියන්න. Is this correct? First එකේ virtual image එකක්, ඉතුරු ටික ඔක්කොම real image දෙන්නේ. Okay, Yansilu says it's correct. I'm not going to draw the ray diagrams now. Okay, for sure. I hope it's I hope it's not too reflective. I changed the dimension of my table, so now it's directly facing. 1 second, okay. Okay, so you're saying it's correct. Then let's talk about the whether it's upright or inverted. මෙතන ආවේ upright එකක්. මෙතන ආවේ inverted. මෙතන inverted. මෙතන inverted. මෙතන inverted. Is this correct? Yes. Then what about the size? What is the size here? What is the size here? Large, magnified. Here, this is also magnified. මොකද මෙතන infinity එකේ image එක හැදෙන්නේ. So it's magnified. Here, here same size. Same size. Pick it up. Same size or what? Here it's between the focal point and center of curvature. When the object is between the focal point and center of curvature, the image is yes. Magnified hari. Diminished answers deepu kate varadi. Same size with varadi. Here it's magnified. Large here kepu kate hari. Then when the object is on the center of curvature, image is the same size. When the object is beyond the center of curvature, what happens? Image is small, diminished. मैं पहम ray diagrams and practice karanna. Right? Please practice the ray diagrams here. These are the mirrors. In concave mirrors. In convex mirrors, how many ray diagrams did we learn? In convex mirrors, how many ray diagrams did we learn? One, just one. Object එක නිකම් mirror එක උඩ තියෙන mirror එක ඉස්සරහා තියෙන එකක් විතරයි. හැම වෙලෙම හැදෙන්නේ virtual image එකක්. It's a diminished image and it's an upright image. මේකට ළමයි ඔයගොල්ලන් vehicle එකේ side mirrors මතක තියාගන්න because they are convex mirrors. Virtual, diminished and upright image එකක් තමයි හැම වෙලෙම හැදෙන්නේ. So these are mirrors, concave mirrors and convex mirrors. මම අද board එකත් අනිවාර්යෙන් එවන්නම් with yesterday's board. Monday board එකත් එවද කියලා මට මතක නෑ. එක එවල නැත්තම එකත් එවන්නම්. So අපි අපේ answer එකට යමු. So ඊළඟ option එක තියෙන්නේ convex mirror. Convex mirror කියන්නේ මෙන්න මෙයා. Convex mirror always gives a virtual, diminished, upright image. Right? Convex mirror. But here, is this a virtual image? මේ situation එකේ හැදලා තියෙන virtual image එකක්ද? Huh? Is this a virtual image? No, it's a real image. If we can get the image, මෙහෙම ළමයි. If it's a virtual image, වාට mirror එක හරි lens එක හරි ඇතුලෙන් පේනවා. හැබැයි එහෙම ඇතුලෙන් පේන්නේ නැතුව if you have to use a separate screen or like a separate white screen එකක් හරි මොකක් හරි board එකක් හරි use කරන්න ඕනේ කියන්නේ ඒක real image එකක්. So here the image formed is a real image. Also මෙතන වාට පේනවා it's an inverted image. Upside down වෙලානේ. It's an inverted image. එහෙනම් convex mirrors වෙන්න බෑ. If it was a convex mirror, it has to be a virtual image. එච්චරයි ඒකේ තියෙන ray diagrams එකයි. Concave lens, convex lens. මේ mirrors වල opposite එක තමයි lenses. If we take lenses, we have two types of lenses. Concave lens and convex lens. Concave lens and convex lens, right? Under convex lens, අපි මෙන්න මේ ඔක්කොම ඉගෙන ගත්තා. මෙන්න මේ ටික අපි convex lens වලට ඉගෙන ගත්තා. So concave mirrors වගේ තමයි convex lens, right? ඒක මම ඒ දවසත් කිව්වා concave mirrors and convex lens is a bit similar. So object is between the lens. මෙතන center of curvature වෙන එකට කියන්නේ twice the focal point. Terms ටික විතරයි වෙනස් වෙන්නේ. Right? එතකොට if you want to අර අදාළතන්ට පෙරලා ගන්න පුළුවන් on your book or textbook or writing book wherever you can flip to where if you can't remember that is, right? So if you remember convex lenses වල අපි ඉගෙන ගත්තා in the first one the lens is between the the object is between the lens and the focal point. එතකොට බලන්න හැදිලා තියෙන image එක මේ මම කියලා තියෙන ටික හරියද කියලා. Virtual නම් lens object එක තියෙන පැත්තෙම image එක හැදිලා තියෙන්න ඕනේ. Virtual upright magnified. Is that correct? For convex lenses. For convex lenses, is that correct? Yes? Yes. Then object is on the focal point වුණාම image එක real inverted magnified and infinity එකේ තමයි හැදෙන්නේ. Then බලා ගන්න object is between the focal point and twice the focal point නම් image එක හැදෙන්නේ එහා පැත්තේ. Object එක පැත්ත නෙවෙයි අනිත් පැත්තේ. So it is a real image. And also you can see that it's inverted and it has a slightly larger size than the object, so it's magnified. When the object is on twice the focal point, again object එක තියෙන පැත්තට එහා පැත්තේ image එක හැදෙන්නේ, so it's a real image. It's inverted and it's the same size. When the object is beyond twice the focal point or focal length, again it's a real inverted but a diminished image. Okay. Then concave lens වලට අපි ඉගෙන ගත්තේ එකම එක ray diagram එකයි. According to that ray diagram, if you remember අර මෙන්න මෙහෙම එකක් අපි ඉගෙන ගත්තා. So මෙහෙම concave lens එක තියෙනවා. මෙහෙම object එක තියෙනවා. So what happened was that object එක තියෙනවා. So what happened was that here we were able to generate a virtual diminished මෙන්න මෙහෙම parallel එක යනහම focal point එකෙන් reflect වෙනවා වගේ මෙහෙම reflect වෙනවා. එතකොට optical center එක through යන එක නා sorry not reflect I'm sorry මෙන්න මෙහෙම යනවා වගේ refract වෙනවා. Then optical center එක through යන එක නා A path එකේම යනවා. So මෙතනනේ හම්බ වෙන්නේ. So this is where the image is formed. So image is virtual because it's on the same side as the object. It is upright and it is diminished. I මම light ගැන කතා කරන්නේ නැහැ ළමයි යා. බලන්න concave mirrors and convex lenses are quite similar. අර වචන ටික අරන් අනිත් ඔක්කොම ටික similar. ray diagram එකත් චුට්ටක් වෙනස්, වචන ටිකත් චුට්ටක් වෙනස්, but everything else is similar. On the other hand, convex mirrors and concave lenses are also quite similar. Mirror එකයි lens එකයි වෙනස්, ray diagram එක slightly different, වචන ටික චුට්ටක් different, but the same outcome. මේ outcomes ඔක්කොම මේ දෙපැත්ත compare කරන්න පුළුවන්. Concave mirror and convex lens similar, convex mirror and concave lens similar. So අපේ third answer එක concave lens. Concave lens එකේ එකම එක ray diagram එකයි තියෙන්නේ virtual upright diminished image. මෙතන තියෙන්නේ real inverted. එහෙනම් concave lens එක වෙන්නත් බෑ. So the answer should be convex lens. Convex lens එකේ තමයි ඔය වගේ image එකක් මෙතන හරි. එතන නෙවෙයි. Yeah, මෙතන හරි. We can create an image like that. It has to be real and inverted. So real and inverted instances තුනෙන් එකක් වෙන්න පුළුවන්. But අනිත් ටික options වෙන්න බෑ. Okay? Up to that point, is it clear? Lamai? Please give me a thumbs up. Okay. Next one. Which of the following statements is true regarding waves? Transverse waves propagate with compressions and rarefactions? No. What propagates with compressions and rarefactions? What propagates with compressions and rarefactions? If it's not transverse waves? Longitudinal waves. Transverse waves propagate with their crests and troughs with their particles move when up and down. Wave එක ඉස්සරහට යනවා, energy ඉස්සරහට යනවා, particles මෙහෙම up and down move වෙනවා. Wave එක යන direction එකට perpendicularly තමයි particles move වෙන්නේ. In longitudinal waves, particles move වෙන්නේ මෙහෙම දෙපැත්තට. Particles wave එකත් එක්ක යන්නේ නෑ. Particles are moving like this. The wave is going to the front. So particles move in wave එක යන පැත්තට parallelly. However, the particles don't move with the wave. Okay? So this is definitely wrong. The distance between a crest and a trough of a transverse wave is equal to the wavelength of the wave. Balum. Where do I write it? ඉඩක් වාගමු අපි මෙතන. Okay. So, if you take a transverse wave, let me draw a rough sketch. Something like this. Make a lesson down in none, but this is a rough sketch. Make මෙන්න මේ වගේ උඩම තියෙන position එකට තමයි අපි crest කියලා කියන්නේ. And this is also a crest. යටම තියෙන position එකට තමයි අපි trough කියලා කියන්නේ. This trough. This point is also trough. According to the question, what they're asking is the distance between a crest and a trough of a transverse wave. Let's see. Metana, distance between crest and a trough. So this is the crest and this is the trough. Is this equal to one wavelength? Is this equal to one wave? No. The distance between two consecutive crests. May crest එකයි මෙයාට පස්සේ තියෙන crest එකයි. What do you think about this? Is this equal to one wave? Yes. Yes. ළමයි wave එකක් කියන්නේ එක particle එකකුයි ඒ වගේම motion එකකින තව particle එකකුයි අතරේ තියෙන distance එක. So crests දෙකක distance එක is a wave. Trough දෙකක distance එකත් wave. But crest එකකුයි trough එකකුයි අතර distance එක is not a wave. It's actually half a wave. Right? So this is half a wave. But මෙන්න මේ වගේ එකක් ගත්තොත් crests දෙකක් අතර distance එක ගත්තොත් that is a full wave. Or if you take this one, troves දෙකක් අතර distance එක ගත්තොත් that is also a full wave. Okay? Therefore, this is wrong. It is not necessary to have a medium for the propagation of mechanical waves. That is wrong. So when we talk about waves, we talk about two types of waves, right? We have mechanical waves and electromagnetic waves. මොකද්ද මේ දෙනගේ primary difference එක? When you consider mechanical waves and electromagnetic waves, what is the main difference? What is their main difference? Medium. Mechanical waves must need a medium. Mechanical waves include transverse waves and longitudinal waves. They must need a medium. But for electromagnetic waves, they don't need a medium. Medium එකක් තිබ්බත් එකයි ගොඩ නැතත් එකයි. So they don't necessarily need a medium. But whether there's a medium or not, they will propagate, right? So එහෙනම් මේකත් වැරදි. So the answer should be the fourth one. And that is true. මම දැන් චුට්ටකට කලින් කියපු එක. Energy is transmitted by the mechanical waves without the transmission of substance. Mechanical wave එකක there are two types of transverse waves gamu. Transverse wave එක, when the wave is propagating to the front, when the wave is propagating, particles are only moving up and down. Particles with wave එකත් එක්ක යන්නේ නැහැ. Let's say a water wave, if you consider a water wave, when you, let's say, drop a pebble onto a water surface, that will create a water ripple, a wave, right? There, the wave will go forward. Along with the wave, energy will go forward. However, the water particles don't go forward. Yeah, එක තැන තමයි උඩට යටට move වෙන්නේ. Water particles. ඒක බලන්න පුළුවන් ඔයාට water surface එකක් උඩ චූටි plastic බෝලයක් වගේ එකක් උඩ තියලා ඊට පස්සේ ripple එකක් create කරන්න. හුළඟ හැම වැඩි නැති තැනක ඒතර ripple එකක් create කරද්දී බෝලෙ මෙහෙම උඩ යට තමයි යන්නේ. That means particles also move up and down. Up and down perpendicular to the direction of the wave. Particles don't move with the wave. Okay? Longitudinal what example agata sound waves, right? Again, the wave will go forward, but air particles only move in the same position back and forth. Okay? Give me 1 second. Okay, lamai. So the last one, the salts which precipitate in the first and the third tank in the production process of salt from seawater. What is precipitated in the first tank? What is precipitated in the first tank? Others? What is precipitated in the first tank? මං හිතන්නේ අපි revision වල එකපාරක් කතා වුණා extraction of salt from seawater කතන්දරේ. I mean, we revised that once, but I think that was quite some time back. So just to quickly go over it, මුලින්ම මට කියන්න, what are the separating techniques we use in the extraction of salt from seawater? ඒකත් අපි කතා කරාද මන්ද ඊයේ? Evaporation and crystallization. So we know there are three tanks. There's the large, shallow tank, then there is the medium tank, and there's the small tank, right? So seawater is sent to the large tank first. If it was the high tide, Vadadiya velawata nang, the seawater will automatically flow onto the or into the large tank. During the times when there's like generally low tides, ඒ වගේ කාලවලට seawater can tides, tidal currents, they're not very strong. So during those times, seawater has to be pumped. I once visited Puttalam hari kalpiti ඒ වගේ Puttalam Salton එකට. But Hambantota Puttalam මේ තැන් දෙකේම හොඳටම saltons තියෙනවා. There are also other areas with saltons, right? So then because of the sunlight, right? Because of the sunlight, මෙතන තියෙන water ටික evaporate වෙනවා. When the water is evaporating, what can you say about the concentration? Will the concentration of salt increase or decrease? What I'm asking is, when water evaporates, will the concentration of salt increase or decrease when water is evaporating? Yes, it will increase, no? Because you know, concentration equals number of moles over volume. Salt will number of moles gonna change unna, හැබැයි volume එක අඩු වෙනවා. ඒතර concentration වැඩි වෙනවා. And when the concentration is twice the initial concentration, මොකද්ද precipitate වෙන්නේ? When the concentration is twice the initial concentration, what is precipitated? Calcium carbonate. This is the large tank, and calcium carbonate will precipitate. Once it precipitates, the rest of the water will be pumped to medium tank, and water will continuously evaporate. Then concentration තවත් වැඩි වෙලා, concentration becomes 4 times the initial concentration. Then what will precipitate? What will precipitate? Calcium sulfate. හැමෝම උත්තර දෙන්න ළමයි. වැරදුනත් කමක් නැහැ, right? Yes. Then the rest of the water will sent to the small tank, where evaporation will continue and concentration will further increase. And when the concentration is 10 times the initial concentration, what is precipitated? What is precipitated? NaCl. NaCl then පොඩ precipitate වෙන්න පටන් ගන්නවා. Before NaCl finishes precipitating, another 2 substances start to precipitate or crystallize. What are they? MgCl2 and MgSO4. අපිට මේ දෙන්නව precipitate වෙන එක නවත්තන්න විදියක් නෑ. මොකද NaCl තමයි පටන් ගන්නෙ. NaCl starts to crystallize, but එයා crystallize වෙන අතරේ මැදදී තමයි MgCl2 and MgSO4 crystallize වෙන පටන් ගන්න. So we have no choice but to let all the three crystallize. Once all the three crystallizers අපිට මේ crystals ටික අරගෙන what do we do next? To the precipitated things, what do we do next? Yes. NaCl, MgCl2 and MgSO4 got crystallized and precipitated නේ. ඒ ටිකට දැන් මොකද කරන්නේ අපි? Huh? Yes, we heap them in prismatic piles. Prisms වගේ piles වලට ගහනවා. ගහලා we store them for 6 months. Here, after 6 months, only NaCl will remain. What happens to MgCl2 and MgSO4? What happens to MgCl2 and MgSO4? Dissolve what? How? Yes. MgCl2 and MgSO4, they will absorb water vapor from the atmosphere and they will dissolve away. Dissolve වෙලා මේ වටේට නිකන් puddle එක වගේ හැදෙනවා. හැබැයි NaCl absorb කරන්නේ නැහැ. Why? Because NaCl is hygroscopic or not hygroscopic? Wordplay. කියන්න බෑනේ hygroscopic කියන වචනේ අහන්න පුළුවන් MCQ එකට ඔයගලගේ exam එකේ. NaCl, is it hygroscopic or not hygroscopic? Not hygroscopic. Not hygroscopic කියන්නේ ළමයි එයා water absorb කරන්නේ නැහැ. Right? Doesn't absorb moisture. Moisture means water vapor, right? Doesn't absorb moisture. ඒක හින්දා එයා දිය වෙන්නේ නැහැ. It will stay in the pile. So after 6 months, when we take that pile, it has only pure sodium chloride. So there could be other impurities. ඊට පස්සේ එක පස්සේ තව purify කරනවා. This is the process of extraction of salt from seawater. This remaining water, what do we call it? දැන් මෙතන crystallize වෙච්ච ටික ගත්තට පස්සේ water ඉතුරු වෙනවනේ. මේ water ටික, what do we call this remaining water? What do we call the remaining water? We call it mother liquor or bittern. Mother liquor or bittern. Again, terms they could ask in MCQs, right? This is the process of extraction of salt from, sorry for moving the board too much, I'm sorry, from seawater. When you are establishing a salt turn, what are the factors that you need to consider? ලංකා වටේම මුහුද තිබ්බා කියලා හැමතැනම salt turn එකක් දාන්න බෑ. Yes, it needs to have minimum rainfall. What else? It should be a place with a dry, hot climate. Yes. A place with sunlight. Yes. Clay soil එකක් තියෙන්න ඕනේ to ensure minimum percolation of water. කියන්නේ පල්ලෙහාට වතුර යන්නේ නැහැ. පොළවට වතුර ගන්නෙ නැහැ. Okay, I'm getting so many answers I missed, I think. Yes. It should be a flat land near the sea. Coastal area එකේ තියෙන flat land එකක් වෙන්න ඕනේ. Yes. Should be a place near to coastal area. Then it should have like a dry, hot climate. ඒට කිව්වනේ minimum rainfall. ඒ ටික තමයි. It should be a flat land and all that, right? Okay. So we move back to our question. The salts which precipitate in the first tank එකේ precipitate වෙන්නේ calcium carbonate. So මේ answer එකයි විතරයි අපිට consider කරන්න පුළුවන්. Third tank එකේ precipitate වෙන්නේ NaCl, MgCl2 and MgSO4. Therefore, this is the answer. Up to that point, is everything clear? before we move on to the next? Thumbs up, please. If you have any questions, please do ask. Okay. Okay, great. Select the most efficient food chain. Leave that question. Leave that question. The composition of a glucose solution in terms of mass over volume is 90 grams per cubic decimeter. What is the concentration of that glucose solution? What is the answer you got for this? Composition of a glucose solution in terms of mass over volume is 90 grams per cubic decimeter. A can mass divided by volume. Okay, right. That means it's something like hitana 1 cubic decimeter solution එකක් තියෙනවා කියලා. 1 cubic decimeter solution එකක හරියට 90 grams තියෙනවා වගේ නේද? When we say that the composition of glucose solution is 90 grams per cubic decimeter, what it means is, like, let's say there's 1 cubic decimeter solution, there's 90 grams of glucose, right? 90 grams per cubic decimeter. In a cubic decimeter, 90 grams. But what I want is concentration in moles per cubic decimeter. Cubic decimeter 1 cubic decimeter I have to convert the mass to moles. Mass to moles convert kan equation n equals m over m. For that, we need the molar mass. Glucose wala molar mass they have relative molecular mass they have given us 180. Therefore, molar mass will be relative molecular mass we just put the unit grams per mole. Etakota n equals mass is 90 grams, molar mass is 180 grams per mole. Divide karahama, you get 0.5. So here 90 grams තියෙනවා කියලා කියන්නේ in moles එතන 0.5 moles තියෙනවා. එහෙනම් concentration එක මොකක්ද? You know concentration equals number of moles over volume. Number of moles is 0.5 moles. දැන් මෙතන volume එක අපි consider කරේ 1 cubic decimeter කියලානේ. Therefore, concentration is 0.5 moles per cubic decimeter. Is that clear? Thumbs up, please, because chemical calculations are a place where you tend to get answers wrong. Everybody? Others? Tusindi, Micheli, Pamodi, Ansilu? Here, then the answer is the second one. Okay. Next, let's move on to the next one. Which of the following is not a function of nucleic acids? What is the answer? Yes. Storing genetic information of organisms, that is done by DNA. And DNA is a nucleic acid. First virus කියන්නේ organism කෙනෙක් නෙවෙයි. හැබැයි virus ගේ genetic information store කරන්නේ RNA. Okay, just say. Protein synthesis වලට contribute කරන්නේ කවුද? What contributes for protein synthesis? What contributes for protein synthesis? Yes. RNA contributes to protein synthesis, and that is also a nucleic acid. What controls the activities of the cell? What controls the activities of the cell in terms of nucleic acids? DNA, right? DNA, because DNA contains information for everything in organisms. Maintaining body temperature, not necessarily. Directly contribute karane, and that is not a function of nucleic acids. Then next one, the final products of the reaction of hematite with carbon monoxide gas in the temperature range 1000 to 1900 degrees Celsius. What is that apparatus called? Where we maintain a temperature between 1000 to 1900 in order to reduce hematite. What is the apparatus called? What is that apparatus called? Blast furnace. Blast furnace එකක තමයි reaction extraction of iron වෙන්නේ, and we know the temperature inside should be maintained between 1000 to 1900 degrees Celsius. Then what are the raw materials for extraction of iron, lamai? What are the raw materials for extraction of iron? Limestone. Yes, calcium carbonate is limestone. What else? Coke. Coke is carbon. Yes. What else? Hematite. Hematite is Fe2O3. So here there are 4 main reactions and 2 slag forming reactions. අතර 6ක් තියෙන ඔක්කොම 6ම මතක තියාගන්න ඕනේ. කියන්න බලන්න, what is the first reaction? Where does it start? Where does it start? I will give you 3 minutes. Quickly write all the 6 reactions. 4 minutes then na main reactions hatara liyan. There are 4 main reactions and then 2 slag forming reactions. Quickly write the reactions. Make it really fast. I hope you're writing. Give me 1 second. Okay. Good. Good. Okay. So we start with carbon, right? Carbon from the coke that we give reacts with oxygen gas in the atmosphere and forms carbon dioxide. Then this carbon dioxide further reacts with more coke, more carbon, and forms carbon monoxide. When you balance, you put a 2 here. Then hematite dwelling, Fe2O3. Fe2O3 will react with carbon monoxide and form Fe. This is pure iron plus carbon dioxide. When we balance, we put a 2 here, 3 here, and 3 here. And finally, calcium carbonate, because of the temperature, high temperature, it will go through the decomposition reaction forming calcium oxide and carbon dioxide. Calcium carbonate mainly දාන්නේ ළමයි carbon dioxide ගන්න නෙවෙයි, because carbon dioxide මෙතනිනුත් හැදෙනවා, ඒ carbon dioxide මෙතනට ගිහිල්ලා coke එක react කරලා carbon monoxide හදනවා. Here also carbon dioxide is formed. That carbon dioxide also goes here, reacts with carbon and forms more carbon monoxide. So calcium carbonate දාන්නේ ඒකට නෙවෙයි. Calcium carbonate වල හැදෙනවනේ calcium oxide. එයාව අපිට use කරන්න පුළුවන් slag හදන්න. The calcium oxide can be used to produce slag. Usually ළමයි hematite ගන්න iron ore වලින්, right? So iron ore කියන්නේ that is obtained from soil. So there could be impurities. The most common impurities are silicon dioxide, that is silica, and aluminium oxide, which is alumina. So this calcium oxide will react with both of these separately and form CaSiO3 and CaAl2O4. මේ දෙන එකතු කරාම තමයි අපි slag කියලා කියන්නේ. We call this slag. We call this slag. Okay, this is slag. So this is our main product, which is liquid iron. It was a slag and liquid iron. Then we slag floats on top of molten iron. So we first extract slag and then we get the molten iron. Okay. So the final products of the reaction of hematite Fe2O3 with carbon monoxide are Fe and carbon dioxide. See here, Fe and carbon dioxide. A reaction ke final products are, so it's Fe and carbon dioxide. Okay. Okay, let's move on to the next question. Which of the following end products of digestion is not absorbed by the blood capillaries? එක අපි දැන් චුට්ට කාලෙන් ටිකක් කතා කරා. Carbohydrates වල end products are monosaccharides, right? Carbohydrates wala end products, monosaccharides, which is glucose, fructose, or fructose, and galactose. Proteins wala digested end products are amino acids. Lipids wala digested end products are fatty acids and glycerol. It amatarava vitamins and minerals digest when right? Here, as you know, Monosaccharides, amino acids, vitamins, minerals, they are all directly absorbed to blood capillaries. Blood capillaries when absorbed, they go to blood, right? Meanwhile, in lipid digestion, the fatty acids and glycerol will be absorbed to the lacteal. So amino acids, lacteal, blood capillaries. Glycerol, lacteal. Galactose, fructose, they are monosaccharides, so blood capillaries. So not absorbed to blood capillaries, we are talking about glycerol. And if fatty acids was there, fatty acids would also have been an answer. Up to that point, is it clear? Before we move on to the rest, give me a thumbs up, please. Anybody has any questions? You can ask, huh? All right. බලමු අපිට paper එක ඉවර කරන්න පුළුවන් වේද කියලා 2017 මම homework ටික මනීෂා group එකේ දාලා තිබ්බා. I sent it to the Sunday group as well, I think. It's a full papers ටිකනේ තියෙන්නේ, right? So those full papers you should finish by now. 2019 එකත් මම කරන්න කිව්වනේ. 2020 එක කරන්න කිව්වද? Let's see. Yeah, 2020 කරන්න කිව්වනේ. Okay. All right. 26th question. Which of the following is a function of the human cerebellum? Okay. Now, if you take the nervous coordination part, right? In the nervous coordination, not the nervous coordination. When you consider coordination, අපේ body එකේ තියෙන coordination ගත්තාම it can be divided into two parts. What are the two forms of coordination? What are the two forms of coordination? Nervous coordination and කීප දෙනා උත්තර දෙන්න කොහොමද කට්ටිය? උත්තර දෙනා very good. What about others? Please answer. Nervous coordination and chemical coordination. ඔන්න එක විතරද මේ කොටස පාඩම් කරේ? What about others? If you can't type in the chat box, you always have the option of unmuting and giving the answer. ඕගොල්ලන් unmute කරලා උත්තරේ දෙන්නේ නැති හින්දා තමයි මම chat box තියෙන option එක දාලා තියෙන්නේ. එහෙම නැතුව මම chat box දාලා තියෙන කියන්නේ මේ chat box එකට answer එක දාලා තියෙන option එක හින්දා ඕගොල්ලන් chat box එකට what? Yeah. So මම chat box option එක දීපු හින්දා ඕගොල්ලන් answer එක දෙනවනේ. ඕගොල්ලන් chat box එකේ answers දෙන හින්දා තමයි මම ඒ option එක දුන්නේ. Right? If it's too exhausting to type, you can unmute and tell the answer. There's nothing to be shy about, right? දැන් මේ අපි කට්ටිය ටික අවුරුද්දක් විතර තිස්සේ classes කරනවානේ. මැද්දේදී කීප දෙනෙක් join වුණා, but at least a few months. So even though you might not like personally have talked to each other, you kind of know each other, right? මේ class එකේ මෙහෙම ළමයෙක් ඉන්නවා, මෙහෙම ළමයෙක් ඉන්නවා. ඔයගොල්ලන් දන්නවනේ සමහර කට්ටිය සමහරට කතා කරලාත් ඇති. So there's nothing to be ashamed of. ඔයගොල්ලන්ට මේ අතරම I understand like constantly typing answers could be exhausting. So you can just unmute and tell. The most important thing is that you communicate, right? So coordination, well, two types are there, nervous coordination and chemical coordination. Nervous coordination is done by the nervous system. Chemical coordination is done by the endocrine system. Endocrine system කියන්නේ hormones තියෙන system එක. Right? Then nervous system එක ගත්තොත් එහෙම nervous system can be divided into two. What are they? Nervous system can be divided into two. What are they? Central nervous system and yes. Central nervous system and peripheral nervous system. Okay. What is in the central nervous system? What is in the central nervous system? Brain, spinal cord. What is in the peripheral nervous system? Cranial nerves. Cranial nerves can brain එකෙන් යන nerves. Then spinal nerves can spinal cord එකෙන් arise වෙන nerves. Okay. Then when we talk about brain, there are gray matter and white matter. Outside the gray matter, the white matter. If you consider brain. Outside, is it gray matter or white matter? Outside. White. Outside is gray matter. Outside is gray matter. Brain pictures actually looks a bit beige wage color එකක් but ඒක නිකන් gray වගේ තමයි brain එකේ outside එක තියෙන gray matter and inside is the white matter. Why is the outside gray matter? What gives that gray color? What gives the gray color? Brain එකේ. So brain is made up of neurons, right? Nervous system is structural unit of neurons, right? So brain neurons in. If you take a neuron, there is the cell body and there's the axon with the myelin sheath. Hammerlem cell body is hitting when the brain is arranged. Therefore, gray matter is because of cell bodies. Cell bodies are gray in color. Axon myelin sheath. Myelin has a white color. Therefore, axon with the myelin sheath, that's why the inside is white color. Okay? Brain, there are, yes, because of nerve fibers, yes. In brain, there are 3 parts. What are they? What are the 3 parts of the brain? Yes, cerebrum. Cerebrum, cerebellum, and yes, medulla oblongata. What is the function of cerebrum? What are the functions of cerebrum? Cerebrum this is cerebrum. Cerebrum left hemisphere, right hemisphere. Then there's a cerebellum. Then that's a very bad diagram of a brain, but still. This is cerebrum. This is cerebellum. This is just a discussion. This is cerebellum. And this bottom part, this is medulla oblongata. Cerebrum එක මොනවාද කරන්නේ? Cerebrum. Controlling voluntary muscle contraction. Okay, good. Perform high mental activities. Yes. What else? High mental activities කියවම learning. ඉගෙන ගන්න දේවල්. දැන් ඔයගොල්ලෝ ඉගෙන ගන්න එක cerebrum එකෙන් තමයි process කරන්නේ. ඔයා හිතන ඒවා cerebrum එකෙන් process කරන්නේ. Then IQ related, intelligence related deva, cerebrum can process karan. Then perception of sensors, yes. So when you see something, eka process karanne cerebrum. When you hear something, when you smell something, when you taste something, and when you feel something, that is processed by the cerebrum. එතකොට ඒවා receive කරනවා, ඒවා identify කරනවා, ඒවා මතක තියාගන්නවා, right? අලුතෙන්ම හිතන්න, you have never touched a dog. For the first time, you're touching a dog. A feeling ko aage cerebrum mein store වෙනවා. ඊට පස්සේ sensory organs වල ඒවා store වෙනවා. ඊට පස්සේ high mental activities, voluntary muscle contraction, they are all functions of cerebrum. Then if you take cerebellum, again left hemisphere, right hemisphere තියෙනවා. What are the functions of the cerebellum? Body balance. ඔගලන් වැටෙන්න යනවා නම් ටගර cerebellum එකට තමයි ඒක function වෙන්නේ. Sorry, function වෙන්නේ නෙවෙයි, sense වෙන්නේ. Body balance. What else? Yes, cerebellum පැටලෙන්න පුළුවන් because cerib part එක එකයිනේ. But ඒක පරිස්සමෙන් කරන්න ඒක related questions වලදී. Cerebrum, cerebellum. What else? Voluntary muscle activity cerebellum එකෙනුත් කරනවා. Right? So cerebellum එකෙන් මොනවද කරන්නේ? Body balance. What else did you say? Voluntary muscle activity. Yes, and body movements. Then medulla oblongata. Medulla oblongata තියෙන spinal cord පටන් ගන්න තැන. What is the function of medulla oblongata? What are the functions of medulla oblongata? Control the rate of heartbeat and respiration. Okay. Involuntary actions control karana. Reflex actions, yes. So the rate of heartbeat, respiration, they are things that we cannot control. So they're involuntary. Reflex actions can when you cough or when you like hitala swallow karana එක හිතන්න නැතුව swallow කරන එක. When you sneeze, when you vomit, they're reflex actions. So they are all controlled by medulla oblongata. Yes. Okay. So that is about the brain, right? Cerebrum, cerebellum, and medulla oblongata. In addition to that, we have the spinal cord. Spinal cord එක ගත්තොත්, if you talk about the spinal cord, which is still a part of the central nervous system, what is the outside? What is the color of outside? Is it gray matter or white matter? Spinal cord එක outside එක. Gray matter or white matter? White matter. Arakema opposite, make a white matter. That is because of the nerve fibers with myelin sheath. Then inside is only gray matter because of cell body cysts. Spinal cord ke මොනවද සාමාන්‍යයෙන් කරන්නේ? What does the spinal cord do? That also helps in like මොකක් හරි දැන් let's say legs හරි මේ lower body එකේ මොන හරි දෙයක් sense වුණොත් එම spinal cord එකට ගිහිල්ලා තමයි brain එකට යන්නේ. සමහර ඒවා තියෙනවා brain එකට යන්නේ නැතුව spinal cord එකෙන්ම response එකක් යවනවා. Okay? Like in certain reflex actions. Then when we talk peripheral nervous system එක නා ලොකුවට කතා කරන්න දෙයක් නැහැ. If you take the central nervous system, what gives the protection? Brain එක protect කරන්න ඉන්න එක්කෙනා කවුද? main එක්කෙනා. What is the main thing that protects the brain? Yes. Skull. Cranium or skull. Yes. Spinal cord එක protect කරන්නේ කවුද? Correct. Spinal cord එක protect කරන්නේ කවුද? Others? Vertebral column. In addition to that, lamai, there are meninges. Meninges, both in brain and spinal cord, there are meninges. Meninges can be layers, right? So there are meninges. Between the meninges and between the cavities, there's a special fluid. What do we call that fluid? We call it, yes, cerebrospinal fluid. Between meninges and in the cavities of the brain and spinal cord. The cerebrospinal fluid is one of the kind of functions. What are the functions of the cerebrospinal fluid? What are the functions of the cerebrospinal fluid? Absorbing shocks, supporting, yes, supporting the brain and spinal cord. We say supporting bouncy, like letting them move without damaging. Yes, good. Protection from microbial infections. Good. What else? Thank you. Supporting bouncy. Then we said protecting from microbial infections. Then we said absorbing shocks. And then protecting from temperature changes. Because the brain and spinal cord are extremely sensitive. Good. මතක නැති කට්ටිය පාඩම් කරන්න. So this is about the central nervous system, and you know මෙතන peripheral nervous system එකේ cranial nerves ගත්තොත් එහෙම there are 12 pairs. ඒක ලොකුවට ඕන වෙන්නේ නැහැ. Cranial nerves there are 12 pairs. 12 pairs, ඒ කියන්නේ altogether 24. And spinal nerves there are 31 pairs. Yes. This is basically what is in the nervous coordination. Endocrine coordination එකේ තියෙන glands, right? So different glands secreting different hormones. And we have to know the features of hormones. Hormones are organic compounds. They are needed in small concentrations. And they are produced at one site and they act on another site, right? Hormones are features. And then we talked about the glands and the hormones. Like for an example, pituitary gland king, growth hormone, FSH, LH secrete venom. Adrenal glands welling, adrenaline secrete venom. Thyroid gland welling, calcitonin secrete වෙනවා, thyroxine secrete වෙනවා. ඊට පස්සේ අපේ මොනවාද genital organs වලට ඒ කියන්නේ like if you take ovaries, the female genital organs, ovaries ගත්තොත් they secrete estrogen and progesterone. If we take the male organs, which is testes, it secretes testosterone. Okay. Someone a pancreas that secretes insulin and glucagon. So basically, so those are what we talked under endocrine system. Nervous system autonomic nervous system autonomic nervous system ලොකුවට papers වල අහලා තියෙනවා but ලොකුවට අහලා නැහැ. ගොඩාක් අහලා නැහැ. අහලා තියෙනවා but ගොඩාක් අහලා නැහැ. කියන්නේ මේ exam එකේ සමහරට ඔයගොල්ලන්ගේ autonomic nervous system focus questions අහන්න පුළුවන්. Therefore මේක පාඩම් කරගන්න හොඳට. Autonomic nervous system මොකද්ද? There are sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous systems. What are the opposite changes that it does, that the two of them do? And in what kind of instances do they get activated, right? Okay, let's move to our question. Functions of the human cerebellum. Maintaining the balance of the body is actually done by cerebellum. We just talked about it. Stimuli is done by cerebrum. High mental activity is done by cerebrum. Respiration is done by medulla oblongata. Okay. A situation where, next question now. A situation where a swan of mass 1.3 kilograms is at still water in a pond is given in the figure. What is the upthrust acting on the swan by water? Take the value of gravitational acceleration as 10 ms minus 2. So what is the answer you got? Okay. I'm getting a few answers. What about others? Excuse me. Mass is one. Now this swan is floating on water. Okay. Do you remember? Space discuss ඔයා ඔබ්ජෙක්ට් එකක් වතුරට දැම්මහම එයා මෙන්න මෙහෙම මැදට එනවා. ආවට පස්සේ in this particular case up now you know in any object පල්ලෙහාට තමයි weight තියෙන්නේ උඩට තමයි up thrust තියෙන්නේ. පල්ලෙහාට weight උඩට up thrust when an object is floating. If the up thrust is greater than weight, what will happen is that the object එකක් water වලට දාපු ගමන් the upthrust is greater than the weight. When the upthrust is greater than the weight, what will happen is that මේ object එක උඩට ගිහිල්ලා මෙන්න මේ වගේ තැනක නවතිනවා. එයා නවතින තැනදී upthrust becomes equal to weight. මම මේක උගලන්ට pressure කරද්දි කිව්වා. Initially, as soon as you put it down, as soon as you put it into the water, the upthrust may be higher than weight. But because of that, it will go up and stop at a position where upthrust becomes equal to weight. So, මෙතන float වෙලා in instance එකේ upthrust is equal to weight. But දාපු ගමම upthrust was greater than the weight. Since the upthrust was greater than the weight only, උඩට ගිහිල්ලා නැවතුණා, නැවතිච්ච තැන upthrust is equal to weight. Then if you take another object, as soon as you put the object to water, object එක වතුරට ඕනම object එකක් වතුරට දාපු ගමන් පොඩ්ඩක් පල්ලෙහාට යනවා. Right? දැන් පාවෙන object එකක් වුණත් as soon as you put it in, it will go down and then පල්ලෙහා දෙයට තේරෙනවා upthrust is greater than water, so it will come up and it will float where upthrust is equal to weight. මේ වගේ object එකක් ගත්තොත් එහෙම here යා මුලින්ම ඇතුළට යද්දී here the upthrust is equal to weight. ඒකින්ද යා උඩට යන්නෙත් නැහැ පල්ලෙහාට යන්නෙත් නැහැ. Inside water but floating. Inside water floating. Then if you take another object, as soon as you put to water, downward weight, upward upthrust. Here, weight becomes greater than upthrust or upthrust is less than weight. Okay, weight එක වැඩි. Weight එක වැඩි වෙච්ච ගමන් මෙයා පල්ලෙහාට යනවා. හැබැයි මෙයා පල්ලෙහාට ගිහිලා sink වුණා කියලා upthrust weight එකට equal වෙන්නේ නැහැ. Upthrust will always be less than weight or weight will always be greater than upthrust. Do you remember these three instances? Give me a thumbs up. Okay. When the swan is floating, float when instance okay, upthrust is equal to weight. Right? So if you take this phone, mass is 1.3 kilograms. So we can find the weight using W equals mg. Mass is 1.3, gravitational acceleration is 10. So you get 13. So weight will be 13 newtons. Since upthrust is equal to weight, upthrust will also be 13 newtons. That is how you get that answer. All right, next question. Consider the following chemical reaction. Zinc sulfate plus XSO4 plus zinc. What kind of a reaction is this, Nabil? Combination, decomposition, single displacement or double displacement? Yes, it's single displacement. It is a single displacement reaction. Here what has happened is zinc sulfate is here. Zinc sulfate is here. හැබැයි X ඇවිල්ලා zinc එලවලා දාලා zinc spot එක ගන්නවා. Zinc was with sulfate initially, but X ඇවිල්ලා zinc එලවලා එයා sulfate එක set වෙනවා. That means X has to be more reactive than zinc. So for that, we need to refer to the activity series. Fe වෙන්න බෑ. Fe වෙන්න බැරි because Fe is less reactive than zinc. එහෙනම් යාව ගන්න බෑ. Aluminium is possible because it is more reactive than zinc. Magnesium is possible because that is also more reactive than zinc. Copper is impossible because copper is less reactive than zinc. Between aluminium and magnesium, balanna, මේ X ඇවිල්ලා සල්ෆේට් එක සෙට් වෙලා තියෙන්නේ XSO4 කියලා. XSO4. So that means sulfate, it's 2 minus නේ. ඒ කියන්නේ යාගේ valency 2. මෙයාගේ valency එකත් 2 උනොත් නේද 2 2 1 1 වෙලා X ටත් 1 SO4 ටත් 1 කියලා එහෙම වෙන්නේ. එහෙනම් X should be a metal with valency 2. Therefore the answer is magnesium. If it was aluminium, what happens? Aluminium ge valency 3. 1 2 3 4 3 2 1. Sulfate ge valency 2. So aluminium to 3 avila sulfate to 2 වෙනවා. Sorry, aluminium to 2 avila sulfate to 3 වෙනවා. Then it would be something like this. So if aluminium was X, it would be something like this. එහෙම නෙවෙයි වෙලා තියෙන්නේ. So it is not aluminium. It is actually magnesium. Okay, let's move on to the next question. ඔගන්ට clear නැති තැන් තියෙනවා අහන්න. I will be moving on from question to question. හැම එකෙම මම අහන්නේ. Okay. A saturated solution of sugar was prepared at 80 degrees Celsius temperature by dissolving a solid sample of sugar which has been made impure by a small amount of table salt. Which of the following measures can be taken to get pure sugar crystals? What do we do for this? What do we do for this? Then lamai metana let's find a space metana මේකේ sugar dissolve වෙලා තියෙන. In addition to sugar, salt චුට්ටක් තියෙනවා impurities. But sugar වල speciality එක ළමයි sugar is saturated. Saturated can any more sugar be dissolved in this water at this particular temperature? 80 degrees නේ. 80 degrees වල තව sugar dissolve කරන්න පුළුවන්ද? No. Why my sugar is saturated? At a particular temperature, when we say a particular solute is saturated, that means no more of that solute can be dissolved. තව දාපු ගමන් ඒගොල්ලන් යට deposit වෙනවා, dissolve වෙන්නේ නැහැ. හැබැයි salt saturated the main instance එකේ. Is salt saturated? Is salt saturated? Is salt saturated? කියලා තියනවාද එහෙම? නෑ. Salt චුට්ටක් තියෙන impurities a little bit. So salt is not saturated. ඒකින්ද අපි salt ගැන ලොකුවට worry වෙන්න දෙයක් නෑ. මම මොකද කරන්නේ? දැන් මෙතන options කීපයක් තියෙනවානේ. What are the options in the answer? Increasing the temperature, filtering, diluting, ඕම එක එකව තියෙනවා. What I'm going to do is I'm going to increase the temperature. Let's say I increase the temperature to 100 kilowatt water to boil when on, let's say 90 degrees. What will happen now? Will sugar be saturated still? If I increase the temperature, will sugar still be saturated? 80 degrees Celsius wala sugar saturate වෙලා තිබ්බ තව dissolve කරන්න බෑ. But mama temperature ka increase karna. Now will sugar be saturated? Yes or no? I got 3 answers. Yes or no? No. Ayla my temperature වැඩි කරාම තවත් dissolve කරන්න පුළුවන් නේ. Do you remember when we talk about factors affecting solubility, we said temperature වැඩි වෙනකොට solubility වැඩි වෙනවා. ඒ කියන්නේ ඔයාලට තවත් dissolve කරන්න පුළුවන්. Temperature වැඩි කරොත් එimhe sugar saturated නැහැ. ඒතර තවත් දිය කරන්න පුළුවන්. තවත් දිය කරන්න පුළුවන් කියන්නේ මට මේකෙන් crystals ගන්න වෙන්නේ නැහැ. මම තවත් දිය කරන්න ඕනේ saturate කරන්න. So increasing the temperature doesn't work. එහෙනම් increasing the temperature කියන option එක හරියන්නේ නැහැ. ඒක හැමෝටම තේරුණාද? Did everybody understand that? Give me a thumbs up, please. One second. Okay. Now, what about cooling? We know cooling is the answer, right? Dilute karo theme dilute kano ken thaw water make it add karna. Thaw water diya karo theme I much sugar saturated nathi bena because we're adding more water, so that doesn't work. Filter kara ke can we separate sugar and salt? Filter kara ke no, right? Because sugar and salt then nama water wala dissolve vela filter kara hum egola then na yana filter vena. So ek bad. So what we do is we cool. Sugar is saturated at that temperature. Cool කරනවා temperature වැඩි කරාම solubility වැඩි වෙනවා කියන්නේ temperature අඩු කරාම solubility අඩු වෙනවා. So the moment I decrease the temperature, the sugar already saturated නේ. තව temperature අඩු කරොත් එහෙම what happens? Sugar will separate out as crystals. So එයාගේ solubility අඩු වෙනවා. ඒ කියන්නේ 80 degrees Celsius වල dissolve වෙලා ඉන්න පුළුවන් maximum dissolve වෙලා ඉන්නේ. තව බෑ. Temperature අඩු කරපු ගමන් sugar වල solubility අඩු වෙනවා. දැන් sugar වල dissolve වෙලා ඉන්න බෑ. දැන් මොකද කරන්නේ? පොඩ පොඩ crystals separate වෙනවා. Cooling the solution is what we need to do. එතකොට salt එහෙම වෙන්නේ නැහැ. I salt saturate වෙලා නැහැනේ. So salt will not form crystals. Only sugar will form crystals. So yes, cooling the solution should be the answer. Consider the instances A, B, C given below. A bat flying at night emitting ultrasound waves of 21. Next question. 20. Make questions. 21,000 hertz. Dolphin praying in the ocean emitting ultrasound waves of 21,000 hertz. A rabbit walking in the jungle emitting ultrasound waves of 21,000 hertz. Give me a second. Okay, Lamai, I'm sorry. So if the speeds of sound emitted at the above instances are which of the following relationships is correct? What do you think is the correct one? Okkuma ultrasound waves, right? And the frequency is similar. Then what is different here? Okay. Others? A bat flying at night emitting ultrasound waves of 21,000 hertz. The medium is air. Yes. The medium is air. Ne? The medium is air. A dolphin praying in the ocean emitting ultrasound waves of 21,000 hertz. Again, same frequency, but the medium is water. A rabbit walking in the jungle emitting ultrasound waves of 21,000 hertz, it's still air. And air wala, if it's the same frequency, everything is same, air wala speed එක එකයි. So velocity of A and velocity of C is the same. So it's මෙතනත් velocity of A, velocity of C same, මෙතනත් velocity of A and C same. එහෙනම් පළවෙනි options දෙක අපිට අයින් කරන්න පුළුවන්. If you remember, when you consider the speed of sound or the velocity of sound, speed of sound, right? When you consider the speed of sound in solids, it's the maximum. Speed of sound වැඩිම solids වල. Then liquids වල, then gases වල. Here, dolphin is in the ocean, it's water. So, the speed of sound in water should be higher. Velocity of sound in air is same. So, velocity of speed of sound in air is the same. So, VA and VC are the same. But VB has to be greater. Why? Because that is water. Speed of sound in water is higher. So it should be answer 3. Okay, let's move on to the next one. An iron nail which was in contact with a metal M was kept in an agar medium which consists of small amounts of ආරකනේ. අපි agar medium එකක් create කරනවා sodium chloride, potassium ferricyanide, phenolphthalein, water ඔක්කොම දාලා we keep an iron nail, a cleaned iron nail, and we keep a metal connected to it. After an hour, only pink color was seen in the agar medium. මං අහනම් ප්‍රශ්නයක් මෙන්න මේ reaction එක වෙලාද නැද්ද? Iron nail එක oxidize වෙලාද නැද්ද? Yes or no? Is this the oxidation reaction කියලා මං අහන්නේ. Has the iron nail oxidized or not? Yes or no? දෙන්නයි මට කිව්වේ. Others? Has the iron nail oxidized or not? 3 දෙනෙක් answer කරා 4 දෙනෙක් answer කරා. I got 2 yeses and 2 nos. If the iron has been oxidized. Sorry. So, yes, you say that the iron has been oxidized. Or some of you say that the iron has not oxidized. Yes, කියපු කට්ටිය කියනවා මේ reaction එක වෙලා. No කියපු කට්ටිය කියනවා මේ reaction එක වෙලා නැහැ. What is the reason for your answers? Let's අපි මුලින්ම ගමු මේ reaction එක වුණා කියන කට්ටිය. මේ reaction එක වුණා කියලා කොහොමද මේ description එකේ ඔයගොල්ලන් understand කරේ? How did you understand that this reaction happened? No කියපු කට්ටියට the reason එකක් දෙන්න පුළුවන්. Why do you say that this reaction didn't happen or did happen? What are the reasons for your answers? Lamai, this reaction did not happen. මේකේ color changes දෙන දෙන්නෙක් ඉන්නවා. එකක් තමයි potassium ferricyanide. අනිත් එක්කෙනා තමයි phenolphthalein. Pink color is not relevant to this. Pink color is not relevant to this. Potassium ferricyanide ඉන්නකොට Fe2 plus ions හැදුනොත් එයා blue color එකක් දෙනවා. Fe2 plus ions හැදුනොත් since potassium ferricyanide is there, it will give a blue color. Is there any blue color in this particular situation? No blue color, right? Only pink color. Blue color නෑ කියන්නේ potassium ferricyanide blue color එකක් දීලා නෑ. Blue color එකක් දීලා නෑ කියන්නේ Fe2 plus නෑ. එහෙනම් මේ reaction එක වෙලා නෑ. ළමයි මේ reaction එක වෙලා නෑ කියන්නේ now oxidize වෙන්නේ metal එකක්නේ. Fe oxidize වෙලා නෑ කියන්නේ that means Fe ට වඩා reactive metal එකක් ඉන්න ඕනේ නේද? Fe oxidize වෙන්නේ අනිත් metal එක Fe ට වඩා reactivity අඩු වෙනවා. If the other metal has a lower reactivity than Fe will get oxidized. But now Fe has not gotten oxidized. That means a metal that is above Fe in the activity series should be present. Copper below Fe. Lead below Fe. Stannous tin. Sn. That is also below Fe. And our answer is aluminium. Aluminium is above Fe in the activity series. In the aluminium thamai oxidize when. So aluminium will oxidize. Give me 2 minutes. Aluminium will oxidize, forming aluminium 3 plus and releasing 3 electrons. Fe2 plus hadune nahane. Enam blue color ekak pennane naha. So no blue color. Blue color ekak naha. Then what is the reduction reaction? මං කිව්වා මේක මතක තියාගන්න කියලා. In the agar medium there is water. Water with oxygen and 4 electrons will form 4OH minus. OH minus කියන්නේ නිකන් බේස් එකක් වගේනේ නේ. It's like a base. So phenolphthalein base එකක දෙන්නේ pink color. OH minus is a base. OH minus ions it's like a base because bases release OH minus ions. So phenolphthalein with OH minus ions will give a pink color. So pink color එක කොහොමද ඇවිල්ලා තියෙනවා. So that is no problem. But blue color ඇවිල්ලා නැහැ කියන්නේ Fe ට වඩා reactive වැඩි කෙනෙක් එතන ඉන්නවා. ඒකින්ද තමයි Fe ට oxidize වෙන්න දීලා නැත්තේ. That is how we get the answer as aluminium. Therefore M should be aluminium. Did you all understand that very clearly? Is it clear? Thumbs up? Onelka okay? Hamodi, Dusindi, Yansilu, Manisha, Situki. What about Ashwini, Micheli, Onelka? Onelka okay? Nudam okay? Ashwini, Micheli, is it clear? Ashwini okay? Micheli? Let me know. So we know why potassium ferricyanide is here. My solution okay, potassium ferricyanide තියෙන අයි කියලා අපි දන්නවනේ. ඇයි Fe2 plus ions හැදුනොත් it will give a blue color. And we also know why phenolphthalein is present because when OH minus ions are produced, it will give a pink color. Why do we have sodium chloride? I think we discussed this somewhere. Why do we have sodium chloride? Why do we have sodium chloride? Lamai sodium, yes. Not to increase the rate of rusting. Rust වෙන්නේ හැම වෙලෙම. Iron එකේ යට වඩා reactivity වැඩි කෙනෙක් එක්ක හිටියොත් දැන් here වගේ rusting වෙන්නේ නැහැ. We have to say increase the rate of reaction, whether it's rusting or not. Because sodium chloride වතුර ඉන්නකොට ions වලට කැඩෙනවානේ. Now here there's a lot of movements of electrons. මෙතන electrons ටික මෙතනට move වෙනවා. ඒ වගේ electrons ගොඩක් move වෙනවා. Electrons move වෙන speed එක වැඩි කියන්නේ reaction rate එක වැඩි. It's very easy for electrons to move if there are a lot of ions. Now sodium chloride will break down into Na plus and Cl minus. ඒගොල්ලෝ මේ reaction එකට participate කරන්නේ නැහැ. However, they will help for electrons to move faster. Electrons moving faster means the rate of reaction is increased. So to increase the rate of reaction. Okay. So that is all for today. Next week, mang oganta extra classes monat schedule kare naha because that doesn't make sense. You have exams, right? The week after that, we will have like 2 extra classes. එතර ඔයගලන්වයි Sunday class එකයි combine කළා මම morning hours වල තමයි ගන්නෙ. Early morning ගන්න. So that would, I feel like that would be ideal. So අද අපි ගොඩක් ලොකු discussion එකක් කරානේ. I will send the whiteboard note and we will meet each other next Saturday කොහොමද අපි හම්බ වෙනවා. ඊට කලින් හම්බ වෙන්නේ නැහැ මොකද exam හින්දා. So 10th of January we will meet. Yes, I will send the recordings. Yes. Okay. Then we'll see each other next week. Until then, have a great week and good luck for your exams. Yes. Yes, yeah, I'll send those recordings. Okay. See you next week, Lamai.